Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is the Nerdy.
The Wordy.
The Book Club. That's right, we're back with Rhythm of War, chapters 44 through 56 from the chairs.
Yeah, from the chairs.
Yeah, one of the better new purchases in our life. Oh, no, wait, it's not. We bought a house.
You said one of the better. Let's,
Sure. I'm just saying.
They're good chairs. They're good chairs.
I'm just saying.
But they're not a house.
They ain't that house. I was about to fully just say the address out loud, and I was like, oh, no, don't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
Don't do that on the internet.
Yeah, definitely don't recommend doing that. Mispronounced name, welcome to the Nerds Radiant. Thank you so much for being here.
Mispronounced name is like, what important event was the end of this? The end of this was Venli deciding to try and take Liren down to the Radiance and have Liren take over the Radiance, right?
Oh, I thought it was she found out that there's another listener.
Oh, Relaine, yeah, that's in that chapter as well.
Yeah, that's like the last line, and I was like, damn it.
Also, they know about the node. The listeners know about the nodes. Mm-hmm. Singers know about the nodes. Blues Barros, thank you for gifting 10 membos.
Yo, thank you so much.
Nerdy's loud and Claris is soft. That's
that
generally
checks
true.
out. Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah, talking into the microphone.
I mean, it looks like we're pretty even over there.
Because you have to turn your head away from the microphone to look at
it. It looks like we're pretty even. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
No. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for 10 gifted memberships. Hell yeah.
Talk for 1 sec.
Appreciate that. There's plenty of reactions. Thank you, Johnny Coleman and Code 76 for those this past week. We appreciate you. But yeah, how is that?
That should be better.
Yeah, just turn yours down a bit.
Yeah.
Great.
If that's not better, let me know.
Yeah, we can fix it.
Yes. Okay. Hi everyone. This is Book Club. I hope you voted for us for the Crit Awards, but I believe the voting is done.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Don't worry about that anymore. What else is important right now? Do we have a sponsor today? We do.
Gamer Subs.
My cup has ears.
It does. It's my favorite cup, actually.
What you drinking this morning, Clarus?
This is titty milk.
Titty milk.
With a dose of creatine.
Oh, you put creatine in it.
Yes.
Sexy.
Yes, because I'm trying to get strong, But I also need all the vitamins and energy that comes from the Gamer Subs.
I'm drinking... I don't actually remember what it's called, but it's the apple snake oil, but it's apple pie flavored.
Yeah, we got a new flavor that's coming called Crusaderade, which I'm very excited about.
You too can drink vitamin drinks, and also they're insane merch. You don't drink the merch, you wear the merch or ride it. There's a skateboard. Also, there was a boxing gloves one time. They make weird shit, but they are a great company. We've been partnered with them for forever. We drink their product every day. Genuinely.
Literally every day.
This is an ad. It is an ad, but also like at this point.
Yeah,
you
guys know.
15% Gamer Subs most days. And you can get your own Gamer Subs at gamersubs.gg using the coupon code CLAROOS, CLAROOS.
Hell yeah.
I'm not going to lie. The apple pie was a shock at first. Mm-hmm. Didn't know how I felt about it.
Yeah.
And it is the only one I've had for 2 weeks. So...
yeah, it like grows on you. Yeah. You're like, oh, that's odd. And then you're like, but it's pretty great though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Highly recommend. I also really like Soda Pressed Despair, but it is sold out right now, and I'm very sad.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I know you want more of that. Chat, it's been a weird week for us. Not just because we bought a house.
That's part of it.
But also, we've had a unique experience that I never thought I would experience. But we also, we can't say the details of. Clarus is going to be mad at me for even bringing it up. But Clarus booked a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't say what TV show it is.
Yeah, but I've had people DMing me like all week because the casting got leaked.
But like, you haven't signed a contract yet.
Well, I have now.
Oh, you have now. Okay. But
literally like yesterday.
Before you had signed a contract, your casting got leaked on Tumblr. On Tumblr of all places.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how the fuck do people know about that?
It literally never in the world thought that would be something that happened to us.
No.
that you'd be part of a leak.
I know. I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I feel about it.
And we know it didn't come from us.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm literally 100% sure. There's no possible way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is cool. I film in, like, sometime this month.
Sometime this month.
Very,
yeah.
very
well,
vague.
you won't be able to talk about it till next year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That shit takes forever to actually drop. So, y'all won't know about it for a while.
If it gets dropped in chat mods, delete the message. We can't talk about it publicly.
Yeah.
We're under, well, you're on, I can actually, I'm not under NDA, but you would get in trouble.
Because I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is going to have to be something that you sail the high seas of the internet for, all the way over to that, Pirates Bay of Tumblr.
Yeah. A website I have not been on in like a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild.
Mm-hmm.
Just a fun, weird experience. It all started with someone commenting on a TikTok with a comment that we were very confused by.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Delete that immediately. And now I'm like, oh, shit. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Cars Polaris coming back to your TV sets sometime
in a
next
while.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a minute, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Rhythm of War, chapters 44 through 56.
Yeah.
It is a section of the book that is necessary, but also...
Some of it might not be.
Yes. It was 12 chapters of marginal movement.
I like the tower stuff.
I didn't dislike any of it.
Yeah, no, I didn't dislike any of it.
I want to be really clear. I'm going to make jokes today about how, like, kind of nothing happened. But, like, at the same time, all of it was well written and all of it was interesting, right?
Yeah.
The character stuff was good. But also for how, like, insane the invasion of the tower was, the follow-up to the invasion of the tower being kind of...
very chill.
Yeah. Was... Oh, especially because, we started this week with Kaladin already having Teft away from danger, really. And
I mean, the first chapter is like the pursuer shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm being hunted."
Yeah.
But then he's kind of fine after that. Like the threat is there, but it doesn't seem like the singers have a great way to actually like search for him.
No, especially once he starts doing the Burj Khalifa scene from Mission Impossible. I almost guarantee that Brandon Sanderson watched Mission Impossible 5?
Never seen.
And then wrote this book.
Okay.
I almost guarantee it. Because as soon as he cut the bristles off and was using the pads to, like, stick himself to the outside of the wall, I was like, oh, I've seen Tom Cruise do this. And it would have been a movie that, like...
But that's probably just for fun, right? Like, Tom Cruise just, like, did that. Just for fun.
Yeah, he just casually was on the outside of the tallest building in the world.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Yeah, when did that movie come out?
I
am actually curious which one came first, but I'm almost certain that this book came after, because this was like 2019, right? And that would have been 20 like 11? No, it's got to be later than that. God, there's so many fucking Mission Impossibles. I'm at a point where I know they're all really cool. I can't remember
which one is which.
Yeah,
there was a new one that came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last two, and it's one of my favorite film franchises ever. I need to catch up.
We should have a movie night.
We should. So the reason why I haven't seen the last two is because you haven't seen any of them.
I know.
And so I want to watch them with you, but there's 5 that you have to watch before we can watch, or 6 we have to watch.
I'll go with you anyways.
No, it's not worth it.
Sure.
Mission Impossible is not a franchise where it's like one-off adventures anymore.
Okay.
The first 3 are kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then after that is a very, like... It is a very serialized story after that.
Okay. That's fair.
And it's fantastic. I love them.
Although
the last one did not get good reviews.
We're going to see Superman next week, so that's pretty great.
We need to get tickets for that.
We do need to get tickets for that. Yeah, we're going to see Superman, and I think we're going to do our spoiler chat format.
Yeah, on Sunday.
On Sunday. So we're going to do Baldur's Gate this Sunday. And then next Sunday, there won't be any Baldur's Gate because we are not able to do the spoiler chat on Monday.
Yeah.
We have to do Sunday spoiler chat
Yeah.
for Superman. So make sure you see it before Sunday. Because we'll probably start with like 5 minutes of like our general impressions. And then it's going to be all spoilers.
Yeah. We're going to talk through the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to find a way to watch it twice by Sunday. But we'll see if that's possible with our schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kaladin, yeah, he does some Mission Impossible stuff. Again, it's not that anything in this section was not good.
Mm-hmm.
It just was very... people kind of sitting around being lightly mischievous.
It is like
But we're not in like open rebellion yet.
Yeah. It is the natural progression of like what makes sense to happen, but it's just not the most riveting.
Well, except that the other plot lines could have been like the other plot lines could have been
the Yasna chapter. Well, not Yasna's chapter, but Dalinar's chapter was great. That was a spoiler alert for my high. That was the best part of the whole week.
Yes, yeah. In the like F plot of Yasna trying to reform a Kholinar that she doesn't have access to.
I just want to say that you said that's the F plot when that is what you want out of these books.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
You're like, I want Brandon Sanderson to actually get into the problems of this world and, you know, like the slavery and the light eyes versus the dark eyes and like all of that thing. And Yasna is serving that plot to you.
Yes, I do agree with you on that, but it isn't necessarily the plot of the books right now. And it is very much what Yasna would like her kingdom to look like, but she doesn't have a kingdom. Right? She's queen of nothing right now. And she's going to be queen of nothing for quite a long time. And so she can make all the decrees that she wants, but the people who are actually being ruled that are technically her constituents are being ruled by the singers, not by Yasna. Like, Yasna can...
Well, they have lots of their people with them. Like, it depends on if you think that...
Dalinar's kingdom.
What do you mean Dalinar's king? In Urithiru?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't really make her any less of a queen. It just means that
it absolutely does. It does.
Like her people are still her people.
In absentia, yes. But yeah. She the social reforms that she wants to make are theoretical, and they are the laws that she is going to pass that are cool. And I'm interested in that happening.
She literally did it.
The slavery law hasn't gone into effect yet.
No, not the slavery one, but the no more duels is like in effect as of this moment.
Sure, yeah. That's not as much a problem to me as like some of the other stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, baby steps.
It also for Yasna, we are only seeing that social reform stuff from the fact that Yasna wants it to happen, but not like how the Alethi feel about it. We've not seen a single Alethi person say how they feel about it. We've only seen Yasna say, "This is what I want," which is great, but it's not plot. It's just like a character's desires that aren't actually related to the plot.
I feel like we had Dalinar and Elhokar's perspective on what it was like to lose their home.
What? What is that? Sure, yeah. That. Yeah, we've had their perspectives on that. Sorry,
you said there was no Alethi that...
No, in terms of like how the people feel about what Yasna's doing, Yasna's been queen for a year, and we've not had a single scene with a normal Alethi person talking about how they feel about how Yasna's rule is going.
Yeah, I don't know if I need any more characters, but yeah, I hear you.
I understand that, but like it's not the plot if it's just Yasna saying to her father what she wants to do. It's not plot until something happens in it, right?
I thought so much happened in that chapter.
In her interpersonal relationship with that guy we've never met before. I guess we've kind of met before. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she like passed a law.
But in terms of moving forward with like the events of this world,
she set a Supreme Court.
She did not set a Supreme Court.
She set a precedent.
I'm not saying nothing happened in that chapter, and the chapter is very good.
Yeah.
Like it's an excellent chapter that is very interesting in the bubble of like this character who isn't a POV character doing stuff that she wants to do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's great. It's really good.
We talked about it in the reaction of like, I don't know if we're ever going to get Yasna's POV because
she knows too much.
Now she knows too much. Now she's like friends with Hoyd and it feels like they're like in cahoots together. Like I don't think we'll get Yasna's perspective again.
100%.
It's too knowledgeable.
Well, and unless the like whatever the reveals at the end of Rhythm of War are allow for everyone to be on the same page for Wind and Truth, because it would make sense for everyone to kind of be on the same page for Wind and Truth.
Well, we do have to get there eventually.
I mean, I fucking hope we do. I want to be clear. I'm not saying like I'm not saying I'm not interested in the Yasna stuff. I am. Mm-hmm. But those scenes are from the perspective of a character who is just like watching them and doesn't want them to happen. Mm-hmm. Like Dalinar isn't happy that it's going on. And Dalinar doesn't really feel changed by it. He's like, I have to go along with this, but he doesn't want to. Despite the fact that the book one ends with him freeing all these slaves.
Yeah.
For honor's sake.
Yeah.
The fact that 4 books later, he's watching it happen again and he's like, man, this is not the time. I need slaves to run my war effort.
Yeah. Yeah, Dalinar is sometimes too practical.
They all are, and it's really good. It's an incredible chapter that's very well written. Mm-hmm. That in the world of the forward momentum for these books, that is forward momentum for people we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't know. Do we really know anyone in a Lethe society anymore? Who is still an Alethi person that we're following other than Yasna?
Shallan.
Shallan isn't Alethi.
Well, she is now that she's married Adolin, yeah.
Adolin is... I guess Adolin's a high prince of Alethkar?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Sure. How does Shallan feel about Yasna as her queen?
Complicated because she was her ward, so I don't know. Like
it hasn't come up. It hasn't come out.
I mean, the only thing that really happened was like Yasna was like, yeah, you finish your wardship. And she's like, all right.
Sick.
Cool.
All I'm saying is that if the plot of this is how Yasna's doing as queen, then I need to know how people feel about it before it changes.
Yeah. And Bruce brings up Kaladin's family, but Kaladin's family, like, Lirin is so, like, willing to just be, like, to have no opinion on who's in charge and what they do.
Yasna has had 0 impact on Kaladin's family.
Yeah.
Yasna has been queen for a year, and again, she's not queen of anything, and so she has had 0 impact on Kaladin's family. They don't know that. I don't know that Lirin knows that she's queen. If I'm being completely honest,
Lirin is like, who's in charge again?
I don't know that Lirin knows who Yasna. He probably has heard the name Yasna.
Yeah.
He got on that boat and was like, wait, she became queen? I did not know. Mm-hmm. It's never come up. And so that's not plot. That is what this one character who is as much as I love her to death, she's like the 14th most important character in this book. It's what she would like to do to a country that she would like to rule over again in the future, but currently doesn't.
I mean, if you consider it to be like the land, but like there are lots of Alethi people that she does rule over.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is, but yeah, those people are somewhere. The point I'm making, I'm not trying to be an ass. The point I'm making is the Dalinar plot of these chapters is, God, I think something's wrong with Urithiru.
It's like, well, I hope Dalinar figures it out.
I don't know why he thinks something's wrong with Urithiru, other than, I guess, his gut, because everything is fine. But he's like, no, everything isn't, because he's a book character, and he knows that everything actually isn't.
Instincts.
And so his gut is telling him that something's wrong with Urithiru, and he's going to keep sending scouts to figure out what that is. And meanwhile, he's going to watch Yasna do stuff that he doesn't support, and doesn't have any like critical thinking to get any deeper on why she's doing it. He just is like, fuck, that's a mess I'm gonna have to clean up. And he's sitting in a small, for this week's reading, he's sitting in a small town watching his niece do stuff, and he's not happy about it. That it's interesting, it's good character work, but the plot doesn't move forward.
Yeah.
The plot is in limbo because we're waiting for the scouts to figure out the thing.
Yeah, and I think their war seems to be going okay. Yeah, but we knew it would.
But at the point where like they're like, yeah, no, we met with a scout who walked all the way from Irithiru to the edge of this barrier.
Yeah,
he says everything's fine.
I think what would have helped.
I'm like, why are you still so concerned?
I think what would have helped this section is just at least one interaction with Dalinar and Taravangian. Because I think that would actually like be helpful to the plot and revealing information.
And again, we only read 12 chapters. So that might come. But in this 12 chapter chunk, nothing really moves.
Yeah. I want to be clear that obviously we are reading this book in a way that most people are not, right? We have segments where we stop. And I do think like in terms of like page count, there was a chunk of reading. But in terms of momentum, less so, for sure.
Yes.
Which I've seen a couple people in chat acknowledge that like pacing seems to be the most common critique of this book. So I don't think that we're that far off, even how we are digesting this book.
And it's one of those things where like these chapters are individually, other than the Eshonai stuff, which is I have really strong feelings about the Eshonai stuff right now, and I fucking hope it gets interesting because what a waste of time. Just genuinely, what a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
The chapters are good. They are good chapters in a book where the stakes feel like they should be higher and the tension should be higher than how placid I feel reading them. It's not that they're bad. They're really well written. The characters are very consistent and interesting. I really like Navani. All of the elements of each chapter are good chapters.
Yeah.
It is just that we're trying to get to the highest stakes point in the war where we are pushing Odium so far against the wall that he wants this contest of champions. And I don't know why there are good chapters that also feel a little bit too pedestrian for the moment.
Yeah.
It feels like everything should be life and death right now.
The crash, like we were on such a high that the crash feels very anticlimactic, which I know it's like, in terms of literary terms, it's not exactly correct, but yeah, it feels like we went from like a Tower of Terror drop to like fucking like a little like baby train ride, you know?
A little bit,
like,
yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. It's again not bad. None of it's bad.
No.
It's just a little too
casual.
Is something gonna happen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yasna stabs a guy through the throat, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. It feels like she could have it feels like this could have gone really poorly for her, but no. Yeah. Cool.
But no, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Pinky Armando says feels like we stalled in the rising action. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
That's how you say that smartly. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's because it is the plot line of, well, not much we can do right now.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that in a book this long, I need not
filler?
Much we can do right now. Like, why not throw some Adlin stuff in here and show that like that there's tension there at least, right?
Yeah.
You should throw something in one of these plot lines where somebody's
like I said, if you put some Taravangian stuff in here, I actually think that like other than the Eshonai stuff, which I'm not understanding why it's there right now, but like if you just threw some Taravangian stuff to push Dalinar along the path of figuring out what's wrong with Irithiru, because right now he's just kind of like, yeah, no, something like feels weird. I think that like little tweak would just help it for me personally.
Yeah.
But
mispronounced name says Aelin also isn't doing anything interesting right now. He's on trial with the honor spread. I mean, like that's.
I feel that should be interesting.
If that ends up not being interesting, that's gonna be rough.
Maybe this section is him like they like make him like wait a while, and this is like us getting to skip over that so we can get back to it's been this long.
But again, why do that?
I don't know.
Like, why make it just as a story choice? Why make the choice be? Every plot line hits a holding pattern at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what this is. Yes, Kaladin is doing stuff around the tower. And yes, like, we get to kind of see the play-by-play of how each individual singer finds out that Kaladin is in the tower. Which, yeah, okay. Like, we get to see those things. But all of the plot lines hit this, like,
yeah.
it's very odd to me. Given the fact that they've been at war for so long that it feels like there should be something to cut to constantly to keep the tension high. And I just feel like the tension has been deflated. Again,
I feel it a little bit with Kaladin, because obviously it's like, well, don't want him to get caught. Like, he's got to find, like, supplies, food, and water. Like there are things there.
Well, and the most interesting part about it, the Lyran element, is just handled off page.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get to see what happens with that. She just is like, oh, the pursuer's going after Lyran. She goes to Leshwi and she's like, the pursuer's going after Lyran. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then Leshwi is like, I took care of it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
The book literally goes, Leshwi leaves for an hour. Yeah. And then she comes back and is like, Kaladin's family's safe. And I was like,
oh, okay.
Like, all right.
Sure.
I mean, I guess that was interesting.
I guess we can't get Leshwi's POV.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. But I was like, there was this one brief moment this week where I was like, oh shit, how is Kaladin going to save his family?
Yeah.
What is Venli going to see? And she goes to Leshwi and Leshwi just solves it off page. And I was like, okay,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess that's fine.
Sure.
The pursuer's not going to be mad about that. Like,
oh, he's going to be mad.
Yeah. But that's where like the tension gets deflated in this to me, is that like that could have been a really tense thing where we don't find out what happens for a while.
Yeah.
And like we have to worry about it. And then Kaladin finds out later that Leshwi saved his family. And like, what does that do to him in that moment? Mm-hmm. That would like hit like a truck where we think that his family's in danger and we cut away. We never find out that Leshwi saves them. Right. Suddenly the tension's high again. The pursuer is killing Kaladin's family tonight and Kaladin doesn't know. Would be really tense. Uh-huh. But by having Leshwi tell us that they're safe, and that she's going to protect them, all of the tension of not knowing what is going to happen to Kaladin's family just is immediately gone. Mm-hmm. And it's only like 2 pages later. Like, it's not the high of the pursuer having Kaladin's family and I'm going to kill them tonight, which is really good narrative strings to be yanking on. He lets go so fast on that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. I liked the idea of me not knowing what's going on with Kaladin's family.
Yeah.
Because that leaves me turning the pages to be like, oh, fuck, how are we going to save them?
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're like, just Lyran's taking care of the Radiants. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess that's far less tense than I want it to be right now.
Yeah.
I want this to feel like fucking Hans Gruber could kill John McClane's wife at any moment. Right? And instead, like, Hans Gruber's best friend is trying to keep John McClane's wife safe. And I don't think that's less interesting for the narrative. That's the Die Hard.
Sure.
Aidenu says Lyran and his family is not the main plot of this book. They absolutely are. Lyran and his family represent the normal people of Urithiru, which has been invaded.
Yeah, they're kind of our only sample size for that.
They are absolutely integral to the main plot because they're the only characters who are regular people that we know are at risk because of Kaladin's actions. Mm-hmm. And so they are the thing that is at risk for Kaladin. We know that Kaladin is going to do Kaladin stuff. Kaladin isn't actually at risk. How his actions impact the people of the tower is what is at risk for the whole plot line.
Yeah.
And Lyran and his family are the main representative of that.
Yeah.
They're integral to the main plot of this book.
Yeah.
And by removing them from danger so quickly, it just kind of like took the air out of the balloon a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We started this week with chapter 44. Who do you think is writing the epigraphs?
The Rhythm of War book?
Yeah.
Venli.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like the humans are cousins. I was like, oh, okay. Well, it couldn't be that many people then.
Yeah.
Chapter 44, Tinder rating for the Spark. Did we react to this one? No, I don't think so. I'm trying to remember what we reacted to this week.
I don't remember. Because
I've been audiobooking more than I've been reading, it's been harder to remember what I reacted to, because I've also listened to stuff that we haven't reacted to.
We didn't react until after the first we didn't react until after the first Eshonai chapter.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
I can tell you really
Which
fast.
Is the next one.
Yeah. 46.
Yeah, okay. So 44 is basically just Kaladin and Syl are trying to hide.
Yeah.
They like almost run into the pursuer. He's like creeping around. And then they find like a light in the vein of stone.
Yeah.
So there's like there's another one of those hidden wall mechanisms.
Yeah.
Which very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that those are around. The Radiants had great ideas, I guess. I don't really know.
They had doors. Why are you acting like that's weird?
But the doors, the sibling says that there was a time where like doors could be like only opened by specific people.
Yeah, you could own a house in your Theru. You could have a private room.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't want any Radiant to be able to come into my house at any time.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The door's locked. We have the only key to our house. Why are you acting like that's weird?
How are you going to sell properties and bring in tax money?
Or lock your door when you're banging your wife. I don't need my boss to be able to push some Stormlight in the door, pop in, see that I'm, fucking his wife, that she's cheating on him.
Don't know why your boss would just be walking into your...
Well, no, he's walking into his own home.
Oh, I see.
I'm cucking him.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, I don't need my... Because I can jump out the window fly away, after I cuck my boss.
Great, yeah. Why wouldn't you? Very honorable.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Cuck your boss.
Jesus Christ. This is a Nerdy Nightly podcast. Yeah, basically he, like, just hides and falls asleep.
Yeah.
And that is the chapter.
Yeah, it's interesting in its... like, this is the moment where the tension is really high.
Yeah.
Like, if
I was like,
all
oh shit, the pursuer is just outside the door.
If all of the Kaladin stuff felt like this, I think I would have loved this section.
Okay.
Like, if it had been this, like, if all of his actions had felt like the risk was this high, I think I would have really, really, really loved this section. Because this chapter is, it's simple and it's not, like, wildly complicated, but it is very, very tense.
Yeah.
And there is no, like, world where I thought Kaladin was going to get away without one interaction, right?
Yeah.
And he does. There is a great moment where he interacts with, like, the husk of the pursuer that it leaves behind, which I found really, like, so creepy. Mm-hmm. And the idea that the pursuer can just, like, leave these bodies around.
Yeah.
And that you could stumble upon them later. Like, there must be somebody in the pursuer's retinue whose job is to go, like, clean up the bodies he leaves around.
Well, if it's a husk, like, is it, like, dried out? Like, will it rot? Or will it just, like, turn to dust?
But, like, I don't want that shit around my town. Like, someone's job is to, like, clean up after the pursuer and deal with these full fucking, like, shells.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's got to happen. There's no way the fucking singers just live among shell after shell after shell of the pursuer, and he just drops them everywhere, and people are just fine with that.
Yeah, I guess that would be annoying.
Yeah. You don't want them all over your Theru.
Yeah, I feel like they would, like, add up after a while, and you're like, all right. It's like garbage. You're like,
guy, you need to hire someone to follow you around and clean up this shit.
Clean up your mess, okay? Jesus Christ.
The 9 are not okay with you just leaving your fucking body everywhere.
They seem to be fine with anything.
Body. See, now he can't cuck people because he zips into light, but he gets away, but the husband comes in the door, and then there's a giant husk. They know the pursuer was there. He left a husk still, like, the phallus still inside his wife, which is just wild.
Yeah, that sounds awful, actually.
You know what, though? He could, like, go away to war, right? And his wife is left at home, and she's like, oh, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss your dick. I love that dick. And he's going to be like, just fuck this. And then he boops out, leaves a husk, and then she has basically, like, a Tantalus sex doll to fuck while he's away.
But, like, there's no blood in the body, so...
Oh, yeah, he has to be fully erect and then husk out.
Unless the, like, singers are, like, whales and they use bones instead of blood for erections, then you can't really do that.
No. As long as he's fully erect, it still keeps the outside shape, right?
But it would just deflate. Right?
It's not latex. It's
no,
a
but
husk.
It's like
it, like,
skin.
holds its shape.
Maybe if it's carapace, yeah. Oh God, that's awful.
No, he creates the husk, and then you fill the dick with creme, wait till it hardens, and then you have a replica dick.
That seems way less complicated than resin. Yeah.
It seems way less complicated than resin.
Yeah, wow. We really came to Smut Corner early. Jesus Christ.
Everyone comes early in Smut Corner.
It doesn't have to be early.
Early and often.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with early and often. Chapter 45. Eshonai she finds the humans.
Guys, I don't know if you know this. This is brand new information, but the humans and the listeners met years ago.
Yeah.
They found each other in the fucking woods. Mm-hmm. This is brand new information that definitely fucking matters.
So the fact that Eshonai is the first person to meet the humans and also is like very famous for like being good at learning their language. We talked about this already, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. It doesn't make any sense to me that Eshonai tries to be like no English to Gavilar in her like intro.
Again, I'm going to push back on this. Eshonai's dumb. Eshonai is established very quickly to not be very smart.
Apparently.
She tries something when she finds Gavilar in that prologue, and it fails.
No English.
I would agree with you if it didn't work, and if Gavilar was like, I don't know who the fuck you are. But Gavilar's like, shut the fuck up. We met in the woods. You're the first listener I ever ran into.
I just mean it makes Eshonai look really silly.
Eshonai's a moron. Yeah.
She did her best, you know. She died, but
it would be like the fucking ambassador of Mexico going to the White House to go up to Trump and be like, no hablas inglés, and he'd be like, you're the ambassador to Mexico. I know who you are. I know, and it would make it wouldn't make. It's not that the moment's dumb. It's that Eshonai's dumb, and it's unfortunate that Eshonai's dumb, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was very funny that, like...
Brother Armand says Gavilar would be someone to say they all look the same. I very much disagree.
No.
Gavilar is so research-minded that he would definitely tell them apart.
Yeah. I'm not saying Gavilar is not racist, maybe, but I think that... I don't think Gavilar would have gotten where he is today.
Ember Eyes says they didn't even know they were female in book 1. No, Dalinar didn't know that they were female in book 1. Everybody else did.
Probably did.
My problem with that moment was that I was like, wait, they don't know anything? No, Dalinar's a moron.
Yeah, I'm gonna like...
Which I still have a problem with. There's things like that in Way of Kings that I don't think are great. But Yasna immediately shows up in book 2 and is like, no... the Alethi know that there's men and women. We're not stupid. Dalinar is just dumb.
Dalinar is just a little slow.
Dalinar is a famed war general who doesn't pay attention in briefings.
He doesn't see gender.
Yeah, sure.
He wrote a book, so...
Not everyone is a genius. Adenu, I'm not saying everyone's a fucking genius. I'm saying that Dalinar should pay. He's a general. He should be paying attention in his briefings, especially if he's good at it. If you want to convince me that a general is a good general,
yeah,
it means that they pay attention to information, because information is how you win wars. The problem I have with Dalinar in this series is that Way of Kings Dalinar is this bloodthirsty monster. And then everyone talks about him like he's this brilliant general. And then in book 2, he starts being like, information is the most important thing immediately in book 2. And you're like, that is not the character that you are in book 1. In book 1, you were like, I don't know what a woman is. I go to war in my big shiny suit of armor. I don't pay attention in briefings. I see visions. And then in book 2, he's like, yes, we must consider the plan carefully. And I am a brilliant tactician. And you're like, these are two different people.
I vehemently disagree with that.
You can vehemently disagree. I'm right.
Sure.
This chapter is just shit we knew about Eshonai. And I was like, okay, 1's fine.
Okay,
but every chapter is shit we knew about Eshonai.
The one thing I did find interesting is when, like, Venli is, like, practicing the songs, we find out that, like, because we only see their mother when she's kind of has, like, this world's version of Alzheimer's, I guess, where she can't remember stuff. So we did get to see before that she's like the one who is supposed to remember everything. Sure. She has to remember all the songs to pass them down to the future generations.
I want to be really clear. I don't dislike the Venli portions of the flashbacks. Mm-hmm. Because Venli's alive.
Yeah.
And finding out how Venli became the way Venli is interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't give a shit about Eshonai's POV. The girl's been dead for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just, there's nothing you can tell me about Eshonai at this point that I'm like, oh, that is why that happened in Words of Radiance. I guess that's valuable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want Eshonai's point of view at this point. I don't mind getting Eshonai through Venli's point of view. But unless Eshonai's coming back, which I really hope she isn't, I actually don't want to know what's going on in Eshonai's mind 6 years ago. She's been dead for so long. She cannot impact the story. She also didn't really impact the story that much while she was alive, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, what's going on with Venli is, I think, what is valuable there.
Yeah.
So the Venli stuff is cool. I just don't need a play-by-play of, like, and this was the first time I saw my mom had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
I know she had Alzheimer's. We met her in book 2.
Yeah, exactly.
It's prequelizing, and, you know, the Star Wars prequels did this, and they got ripped for it. Like, this isn't something that I'm saying, like, I'm ripping unfairly on this book for.
Yeah.
I don't need you to prequelize the first time something I know happened.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the first instance of Alzheimer's. I don't need to see the first... I don't need to see a different point of view on a moment unless it's like the prologue. Here's what the prequelizing is so good in this series. Just to draw a distinction. Every single prologue of this series has recontextualized the night Gavilar died in brilliant ways that made me go, oh shit, that was really... Not one of them is bad. Every prologue is brilliant, which tells me Brandon Sanderson knows how to write good prologues. He does. Yeah. He's written good flashbacks, right? He's written great flashbacks. He's the Dalinar stuff in Oathbringer. Yeah. Those flashbacks are brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
You understand so much more about Dalinar by the end of that book. He makes sense as a character because of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can flashback to that makes what's going on with Eshonai now make more sense because Eshonai is dead.
Yeah.
And so just showing me things that I know happened.
So is Gavilar.
But none of the flashbacks are actually about Gavilar.
Yeah.
Right? And Gavilar is still way more important to the plot than Eshonai is.
Yeah. Catharak, welcome back to the Nerd Radiant. The flashbacks are really pointless in Words of Radiance. Yeah, I'm not...
Shallan's flashbacks? No, they're very important. The flashbacks in Words of Radiance are wildly important to Shallan's, like, life and character. We need to understand her family in order to get to the point where she draws her shard blade on
her mom.
No, on Tai. What was that fucking woman's name? On the caravan on the road.
Right.
The flashback lead up to she realizes that she has already pulled a shard blade before.
Right.
And then she pulls the shard blade in the tent, killing the woman. Those flashbacks are great.
I really like those flashbacks. Yeah.
But they're tied into what's going on to Shallan in the present.
Yeah.
These flashbacks are just, we know all this information. Every single flashback other than like, I didn't know that Venli was jealous of Eshonai 7 years ago. I don't care. I don't care that much.
Yeah. Yeah, you meant Rhythm of War.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. That makes more sense.
I was like, the flashbacks in fucking Words of Radiance are awesome.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
The moment where she's strangling her mom, like, that was sick.
Yeah.
Disgusting and sad and awful. I'm not happy about it. But, like, as a reader, it made me feel so many emotions that I loved it, right? And that's what I think is great writing, is when I'm feeling a bunch of things. When I'm feeling like, wait, I already have... When I'm flipping pages, I'm going, oh, I already have this information. I have this...
Yeah.
Oh, this whole... I already knew this whole chapter happened.
Yeah.
I guess it's like maybe Brandon Sanderson is like, I don't know, they probably haven't read Words of Radiance in a while, so I'm gonna...
That's a long book.
Fill them in.
So we need a little recap.
It could, and here's the thing, the Eshonai stuff could end up being really important in this book. It really could.
Potentially.
It just has not been yet.
Yeah. Yeah, basically this chapter ends with Venli being like, I think I know how to get Warform. And her mom's like, all right, let's go talk to the 5. And then they can't because Eshonai shows up and is like, found some humans.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Chapter 46 is Navani being like, hey, Raboniel, I accept your offer. Let's work together.
Yeah.
And they start with the 4th bridge. They get right into it.
Yeah.
Raboniel's like, I don't have any sketches of this, so you're going to show me how this works.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, right? Because Navani and Raboniel's relationship is potentially the like thing that could save everybody, right? Yeah. If they can develop a level of mutual respect, because they're starting at this point of, Navani's like, what do you want? And Rabona's like, I want us to work together like this, because she shows the fourth bridge. She like goes through the process, reveals all this information. Rabona's like, fuck, we never figured that out. That's amazing. They have another name for aluminum that I am never going to remember. I promise you, no matter how many Stormlight Archive books we read, I will never be able to tell you what the singers call aluminum.
Right.
But every time the word comes up, my brain has to go, what the fuck are they? Oh, right. That's the fucking aluminum
with an
word.
R, right?
Ralcalest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am A, never going to remember that, and B, going to struggle with it every time it comes up in the book.
Yeah.
Because I'm always going to be like, who the fuck is Ralcalest?
Yeah.
Is that a
It does
fused?
sound like a fantasy name.
I wish that they would just say aluminum, just because my brain doesn't want to do the translation.
Sure.
I understand they have their own word, and that is sick. It's really cool that they have their own word for it, but goddamn, am I struggling to remember that that's what they're saying.
But here's the thing. If Raboniel is learning Alethi, then wouldn't in Alethi the word be aluminum?
Yes, but she keeps saying Ralcalest because he came up with a cool word and he wants to use it.
Yeah.
I just wish that when she was speaking aluminum, like if you want to have like in the scenes where the singers are talking to each other, she says Ralcalest, but when she's talking to Navani, she says aluminum. That would just really help my brain.
Sure. That's fair.
It would just really help my brain.
Navani learns that soulcasters are spren who have been convinced to
live in the real world as an item.
Yeah.
Which is, in the siblings' opinion, better than trapping them in an item.
Well, because you convince them instead of trap them, I guess. They choose.
Yeah.
And Raboniel says that's so interesting. Void Spren don't do that.
Yes.
We've been unable to convince the Void Spren to be in physical realm.
Oh my god, stop trying to make Ralcalest happen. It's not gonna happen, Gretchen. That's very funny. Emrise. No, the stuff between Navani and Raboniel is really interesting.
It is, yeah.
It's so fascinating. And it is the thing where I'm like,
I actually think this is the most interesting moment of that, and then it gets less interesting.
Oh, immediately. Yeah. It's at its most interesting when they're talking to each other. When they are standing on opposite sides of a room and Navani's being like, I'm not doing spy shit. And Raboniel's like, she's doing spy shit. I'm like,
yes, we get it.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Again, it's not, none of it's bad. It's just sort of like, it's just sort of not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The Kaladin part of this chapter is the nightmare from Moash. Fuck Moash. I feel like we're obligated to say that every time now.
Can I be honest? I don't know that I needed this. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that
we needed to know just how bad the dreams are. Like, how far Moash is willing to go, I guess.
Oh, I'm not even saying that. I'm glad that it went as far as it did, because I think the dream section is really evocative and really well done.
Yeah.
I just think that in terms of the plot of this book, having the dreams at all, having Moash and Kaladin have this dream connection, just feels like a thing that doesn't. Moash is such a terror to Kaladin in person. Mm-hmm. And is in the same place as Kaladin, that I don't know. There's just a part of me that was like, it just felt like grim for the sake of adding grimness to the book. Kaladin wakes up and isn't very affected by it. He's just like, fuck, that was a bad dream, which is how most people react to bad dreams. Like, I had a bad dream, that sucks.
Well, and he's had bad dreams before and often, so, like, maybe this, like, plot is not gonna work. Like, Odium's gonna be like, why isn't he sad enough? And Kaladin's gonna be like, because I have depression, my dude. Like, you can't actually compete.
And so I don't know, this was just one of those things where it felt like throwing another thing into a situation that's already as dire. It made the like tower be like, I guess the tower isn't that dire a situation because we also needed this. Mm-hmm. And if you just made the tower that dire and made Kaladin so stressed from the tower being in such bad shape. I just don't think that you would need to add on the extra element of this.
Yeah.
And the fact that the book does, it's a really cool scene. Like, it's really well written. It's really evocative. But Kaladin kind of wakes up and is like, that was weird, and moves on with his day.
Crazy.
It doesn't feel like it ratchets the tension up for Kaladin at all. He's just like...
because he's already so sad.
Yeah.
Loadboat, thank you so much for that super chat. For nothing really. I just wanted more chat experience. Yeah, so YouTube does this thing now.
You get experience towards crowns if you super chat?
I think so.
Oh, I hate that.
What? You can pay to get a crown. It's the same as on Twitch.
I know, but I like the idea of people being able to just get a crown by just being interactive.
You can do that. You can.
All right.
You can. But enjoy your crown.
I love what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I love what we do, but I hate the way in which YouTube is like. There is a constant pop up in my YouTube studio telling me to run ads for you all right now.
Oh my god,
it's constant.
It's so annoying.
And the thing is, like, I actually
literally is like, you should put an ad here. You should put an ad here, and we're like, oh my god.
I'm not trying to monetize every single dollar out of y'all pockets. You know what I mean? There's a reason why we lowered our subscription price to the lowest price. We want members, you know what I mean? We want to make money, and this is a company. We have employees that we have to pay. Like, we're not trying to do all this for free because we literally can't. But at the same time,
Sure.
like, I'm not trying to grift every cent. You know what I mean? And YouTube is so trying to push us to grift every cent, and I'm like, chill, man.
Yeah.
Run some ads at the beginning of the video, but then don't run them during. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Well, remember when we found out that there was a fucking ad literally every 3 minutes?
Yeah. No. There was one book club where the auto ad on YouTube added an ad every 62 seconds. It was every minute. I had to delete because it was a 3-hour video. I was like sitting there deleting all the ads that they added. Yeah. So now I do run ads on the One Piece videos just because I run 2 ads per video. And they're spread out every 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, 15 minutes is more reasonable than every 62 seconds.
Linus Victor, thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant.
Thank you, Linus.
Nerdy. Wait, am I the product? I know that I am. I don't know. I don't want to fucking grift on every fucking second of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I like putting up the content, and I like that people want to pay for it. I feel very grateful that, like, my One Piece channel has 700 paid members.
That's incredible.
But it's 700 paid members at literally the lowest price I could have had it.
Yeah.
Which is $3, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just find the like way the pop-ups come up to try and monetize more just ruins the experience a little bit.
Exhausting.
Yeah, I can't use Twitch anymore. I just can't use Twitch. The ads on Twitch make the product unwatchable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I find it almost impossible. I hate like jumping into a Twitch stream because I have to watch 5 minutes of ads before I can actually get to the stream.
Yeah, it's
like,
terrible.
They've really
want you to pay for Twitch Turbo.
Yeah.
But like,
no, they
maybe I should because I want to support my friends, but
I guess.
Oh, Seth Butler says I have YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium is straight up the greatest thing on the internet.
YouTube Premium is the best for you and also the best for us.
And that's why it's the best.
We make more money technically if you are watching our videos with YouTube Premium than if you watch an ad.
Yeah. YouTube Premium, because we have some YouTube channels that aren't on our YouTube Premium account, and if I am accidentally on those and I watch YouTube video, it is a fucking nightmare.
I'm like, what is this ad? Get this shit out of my face.
But no, the difference between Twitch Turbo and YouTube Premium is if you have Twitch Turbo and you watch a stream, the streamer doesn't get any money from that.
Yeah.
But with YouTube Premium, the videos that you watch with YouTube Premium, they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Loadboat was in 4th and wanted to move up a spot. That's funny. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, it's a interesting conversation that like people do ask about, right? You know, they're like, what's the best way to support you? And it's like, well, like if you get YouTube Premium for yourself, it does also benefit us. Like that is just the reality of what it is to be on this website.
Talon Ramel says the problem with YouTube Premium is that you're starting to get ads even with YouTube Premium. That has not happened to me. So
I haven't had that.
If that changes, I don't know that I will watch as much YouTube as I do.
Yeah.
I've never seen an ad on Premium, and I watch more YouTube than is technically healthy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about rhythm before. The dream itself is very cool. I just wish it felt like it had an impact.
Yeah. Like I said, Kaladin has fucking Kaladin has like skin of a theater kid at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's like, you can't hurt me more than I hurt myself.
I mean, theater kids don't have that skin. Theater professionals do. You have to
You're
like
right.
move to the big city and like be.
You have to fall hard on your ass to get that thick skin.
You need to have a couple of weird casting couch experiences to really develop that armor.
Yeah. Kaladin's got it in spades.
Yeah, Kaladin is prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, actually, sorry, but after the dream, there's not much. She just still basically just shares the information she has about the sibling,
which is nothing.
It's not much. Yeah.
There is a lot in this section of people talking to people and then being like, I don't know.
Useful, I guess.
Cool.
Chapter 47. This is Dalinar and the Mink in the middle of the battle. They're fighting. They're watching on one of the flying platforms. Very cool. It's like they have their own drone basically for battle tactics.
Yeah.
But
I love the Mink, man.
He's great.
Yeah.
Very fun character. This is where they find out that there was a device accidentally deployed to stop the radiant powers at Urithiru, and then they're trying to figure it out, and then they have to like hike way out of the tower, out of range, to be able to communicate.
How do you think the singers figured out the passcodes?
I don't know. Their Voidspren are like little spies.
Oh, interesting.
But
the Voidspren are always visible, right? In a way that the regular Spren aren't.
The Voidspren are not always visible. They are only visible now that the tower has been reversed.
But I thought Kaladin could always see them moving around, the red lights in the sky. When he was in Hearthstone.
Odium can also see the future, so maybe Odium just knew the passcodes. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of wish that this section had at least hinted at how this is possible.
Dalinar has one comment about like even passcodes are not 100% like foolproof.
But like, where did they get them? I'm assuming they tortured a scribe or something. I just wish that there was some kind of hint at what that might be, because the depths to which they have this tower handled right now feels so ironclad that it feels impossible. Yeah. Like it feels a little bit too convenient that they were able to do all of these things this quickly. And so just any hint at all about how they pulled that off would have been nice, because I don't think many people would have those passcodes, right? Like, you're talking about like the private line between Navani and Dalinar.
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe 3 scribes tops would even know what the code is, and it would be a rotating code, right? Like, it would change.
Yeah, but one of the first things they did was also like ransack Navani's office. So unless she like got rid of any communications that she had, they could just read the passcode.
Well, you wouldn't have one passcode, right? Like, you would have...
I don't know.
You would have, like, certain questions that you would start with that would have
Brandon Sanderson said, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I understand that.
Yeah.
It is just something where in order for the military intelligence of the Alethi to feel strong, you have to establish that they've circumvented it and not just that it didn't exist. And that's all I'm saying.
But they do have literal invisible spies that just fly around.
I don't know that the Voidspren are invisible.
They are. Venli, so there is a moment in the Venli chapter when they're back at Alethkar that she is the only one that can see the Voidspren spying because she can peek into Shadesmar. That's how she's able to make sure that they can talk without being overheard.
But a Voidspren being in Shadesmar can't spy on you. It can move through Shadesmar, but while it's in Shadesmar, it can't be spying. It has to be in...
It's not in Shadesmar. No. So the Voidspren are invisible unless they show themselves to you, Or the tower has been reversed and now they can be seen as little thingies. But before, it was established that they're invisible, they are spying on people, but Venli was able to circumvent that. She's the only one that can, like, peek in a Shadesmar and make sure there's no Spren around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why
they do literally have invisible flying spies.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. It's tough because once
Yeah, they are called secret Spren, literally.
Once you kind of invent that for your world, it can be a little bit too convenient a device to just be like, oh, well, there was a Void Spren there. You know what I mean? I think you have to be a little bit careful of that because that gets to the point for me where it's like, well, why isn't there Void Spren with Dalinar all the time? Why they can't stop them? Why isn't there always a Void Spren with Dalinar?
Maybe that's part of the reason that Odium can see everything. Like, Odium has this future sight because the Void Spren see everything.
Pinky Armando says, but this section, she said they became visible forcibly.
So they became visible in the tower when they changed the device. She said in this section that the Void Spren are not invisible in the tower in the, like, radius of the powers being flipped for some reason.
No, only when the towers are against the Void Spren. But once it's the other way, the Void Spren would have free reign again.
Nope. She says in this moment she can see the Void Spren. She's like, I don't need to peek into Shadesmar anymore because I can literally see when they are there.
Oh, so the Radiance had it flipped the other way, and all of the Radiant Spren couldn't go invisible in the tower. I guess that makes sense that you would have that, where, like, while you're in the tower, your Spren can't spy on other Radiants.
I guess so, but I do know that, like, that the Spren can still be invisible to other people while the Radiants were in Urithiru, so I don't actually know if it's a 1-to-1.
Right, because Tef Spren was hiding.
Yeah. It's something to do with the, like, secret Spren specifically that are affected by this change in the tower, but we don't have all that info on it.
I don't really get it. It seems like having the Void Spren just constantly chilling among the people and just spying constantly would just be the way to go. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
Maybe they are.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's not really explained in detail.
Yeah.
Bentley's like, oh, yeah, I can see these guys now.
Umang, thanks for joining the Nerds Radiant.
Hey,
appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Anyways, so they find out that there's something funky going on at the tower. They think maybe Taravangian had something to do with it.
They know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
They're immediately like, God damn it, Taravangian let them in again.
Anyways, Nalan shows up. And Dalinar just, like, boops him and can see things.
Yeah.
The Stormfather's like, touch him. Touch him.
Grab him by the dick. Jerk him off.
And so Dalinar does. He listens to the intrusive thoughts. The Stormfather really is the intrusive thoughts in this situation. And he can see the lines of the Oath Pact.
Yeah.
One is broken, the rest are weak, and then one is really strong.
Sorry, say that again.
So one is broken, one is super duper strong, and then the rest are, like, kind of weak.
Yeah.
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 I don't know which one is super strong.
No idea.
Don't know who that's supposed to be.
No fucking clue.
Okay.
But also, if
obviously
any
the
of
one
them...
that was broken was the dad who got knifed, right? That's the one that's broken. Yeah.
Yeah. If any of them are active at all, though, shouldn't the fuse be dying and going back to Braze?
It's weird, right? Because we know that that one single herald was able to keep the fused at bay, but they do seem to all be here. Maybe the really strong one is the guy who's pretending to who is a herald who's like, I'm God, follow my direction. I can't remember which land that is in. It starts with a T.
So Telenalat? No. You're talking about the guy in Tukar.
Tukar, yes.
Emul.
Tukar.
No, they're fighting in Tukar towards Amul.
It was the people that tried to
the Herald King.
Yeah, the Herald King.
No, Tukari. Yeah, the Tukari guy.
Yeah.
This was very. I'm not gonna lie, chat. This confused me quite a bit because I don't understand how the Oath Pact is broken, but that the Oath Pact is there's vestiges of it that aren't, but that the fused aren't stuck on Braze anymore.
So the heralds have to be dead.
Yeah.
To be able to keep the fused at bay, and they are currently all in this plane of existence.
But then wouldn't just killing one of them stop the fuse from being able to come back here?
Well, but they got dead. They didn't get, like, Herald dead. Somehow they got, like, real dead, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Adanu says they had to go back to Braze for the Oath Pact to take effect and with the full number. No, because they sent one person back last time.
Yeah,
only one got sent back last time.
You don't actually need the full number. The one guy was able to keep them at bay for 2,000 years single-handedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue Sun says one link of the chain is broken, which means the chain is broken, but the other links remain. But the other chain, the other links don't matter. They only needed one person to go do the Oath Pact. For 3,000 years, right?
Yeah.
That's just a fact. We can all agree that is a fact.
Yeah.
So as long as the one person does the thing, as long as one person is willing to go do it, I don't understand why
the Oath Pact is broken?
Yeah.
Or did they break it by only sending one person back? But then how did he keep them at bay single-handedly for 2,000 years?
Yes, that is the question. And if all they need to do is have one of them dead at a time, why don't they just create a rotating schedule where one of them is always on Braze and then it's like 1/10 of the torture?
Yeah. Yeah.
The torture's really bad, but it's spread out and you get like time on Earth in between.
Yeah, you get like 10,000 years before you get to be tortured again.
Yeah.
You know? I think.
Umang says, was busy for a while, couldn't join the book club, then didn't know it moved to this channel yesterday. Binge all of Rhythm of War videos. What's up, Umang? Sorry.
Hey, thank you for making it here, and thank you for that super
Appreciate
chat.
That super chat. Yeah, we're on the Nerdy Wordy Book Club channel now because YouTube wants us to be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't like multiple different things on same channels. Maybe we'll post about it another couple times on the Nerdy Nightly community page. Because there have been people that are like, what happened to book club? And I'm like, I don't know how many times we could have said it that we were moving.
I know.
But here we are.
Yeah. The Everstorm is new and changed things. Yeah, and this is kind of the danger of the mystery box element of the series where I didn't really understand what it was before. Mm-hmm. So saying that it's different now to a situation that has always been shrouded in mystery, I'm like, I guess sure. I never understood it in the first place, so I guess it's just I don't understand it, and it's also something else. So what I do know about it is just all lies. I don't know. It's interesting. The flashbacks are great. It's really cool. I do wonder what the limits of Dalinar's powers are because it seems like he can learn languages, he can see memories, he can rip the reality open and pull Stormlight from the spiritual realm into the cognitive or into the physical. It's very cool stuff. I just
Hippo Blue. So what happened was all the heralds would go back to be tortured and keep the fused at bay until one of them broke, and then the cycle would restart.
Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah. And then this most recent time, they only sent one back to take all the torture.
Yeah. And it was one of the longest times ever. So he crushed it.
Yeah.
Did really good.
He crushed it.
Yeah.
He had never broken before this. He was never one of the ones to break.
Yeah.
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 Good for him.
Just nailed it.
Apparently, people are saying that the Everstorm bypasses the Oath Pact. I don't remember that, but
is that something?
There's a lot in these books. So
the Stormfather says that it's new, but the Stormfather never says the Everstorm bypasses the Oath Pact. I don't think that's ever been said.
No, not that I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalinar literally has unlimited power. Yeah.
The thing about this stuff with Taln was it is really well written and it is interesting, and I do not feel like I understood anything more by reading it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is somehow more information.
Wait, with Nalan?
Sorry, Nalan. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is more information, which is great, and I love to have.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like I read more information about the past, and the progress bar that is my understanding, which is at like 15%, went to 15.1%.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're going to jump to like 30%.
Yeah.
And it went up by like 0.1%.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. Is I was like, really cool, really interesting, well written.
I'll understand
evocative.
that at some point.
I still don't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't really understand what's going on with this. I don't understand how they win because I don't really know what's going on. If I'm being completely honest, I'm reading it and I'm enjoying it. And Dalinar spends so much time talking about how he wants to understand how he can rebuild the Oath Pact.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't really know what happened with the last one, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, I read the back of the book for the first time. Like the back page.
Great.
That was fascinating.
Why?
It refers to several different characters and kind of infers what effect they're going to have on the plot for the story.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't read that.
I was like, oh. So it's not a spoiler, but it is definitely a little bit leading in a way that I was surprised at. Because I picked up the physical book for the first time yesterday, and I was like, I'm gonna check this out. How does Brandon Sanderson sell this book? It was cool, but it was definitely, it was an interesting way to convey information.
Karen says, well, they spent quite a bit of time talking about how they don't even know how they win. Again, when I said that this section felt like we were spinning our wheels a little bit, that's what I mean. They don't know how they're like, we want to scare Odium into taking a contest of champions. And I'm like, okay, how are you going to do that? They're like, we don't know. I'm like, okay, well, we've been talking about the contest of champions since the last book, and we're 400 pages into this one.
Dalinar, did you set terms?
We're a full novel into this book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're a full novel in.
Yeah.
And they're still like, God, does anyone have any ideas? That's what it feels like. It feels like we keep going to these scenes where characters are talking to each other, going like, do you have any idea what to do? And they're like, I don't. Do you? No. And I'm like, and then really cool character stuff happens around that. And then the next time we see those same characters, they're still like, fuck, man, do you have any ideas? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't have any ideas.
Yeah.
I'm the reader. Why are you asking me?
Yeah, no, I know.
And then Sazed's like, we have to fight. And then it cuts to Sazed in space being like, Odium is going to be a problem for the Cosmere. And I'm like, my guy, Odium's a problem for this planet. We got to get to that first. We can worry about the Cosmere later.
Yeah, I mean, they're intertwined.
Yeah.
But Dalinar can see
memories.
Yep.
Yeah. I want him to touch Hoyd so bad. I want him to just grasp his face.
Come here.
It is just the Dane Atos Dalinar element now. They're kind of the same character. Just
no, God.
Take his cheek a little bit.
Oh, God. I don't know if we're going to do a book club on Onyx Storm. In fact, we're not.
I'm probably going to do a live at some point to just complain about it. But...
We should tell you guys.
We're changing the schedule.
Next Wednesday, Nerdy is finishing Will of the Many.
Yeah.
Yeah, finishing that. Nice and neat. Then the week after that, we're doing Tusk Love.
Yeah, we're covering the Critical Role book together. Clarice is not going to read Onyx Storm.
I don't think so. I don't think I can.
Yeah.
You're like, it's bad. The Discord is like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And so I haven't started it yet. And I just don't know if I want to, knowing this information and knowing that I didn't love whatever the fuck book 2 was. Iron Flame, I think. So we're gonna do Tusk Love instead, because that sounds more fun. It's a really easy one-off before we get back to Kushiel's, and I don't know if we will be if we will be doing much more with the Fourth Wing series. Nerdy says he wants to make a little baby book club video about it, but I don't know. The video might end up being so negative that I'm like, maybe it's not worth putting out, but we'll see. We shall see. Dungeon Crawler Carl's a series you guys should try. That is definitely on the list, I promise. But Tusk Love, is brand new. Like, Tusk Love literally just came out. It's relevant. It's also very adjacent to this community because, you know, Critical Role, we do TTRPG stuff, all that jazz. So I think it'll be a good choice. It'll be a really easy casual book club for us to do. I want to take bets on the title of the next one in the Fourth Wing series, or is it already out? I don't know if it's already out. The title might be announced, but
it's gonna be like Crimson something.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, I'm like 20 chapters into Onyx Storm, and it is wild to just watch an author double down on all the worst parts of their own world building. It genuinely, like, it is the yeah. It is all of the things that are the weakest about Iron Flame done a second time in a crazy way.
Yeah, thank God we're not talking about that today.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I have like no desire to read that, but I really want to read Tusk Love, so that's what we're gonna do.
This is how bad Onyx Storm is. I'm gonna spoil it for you guys really quick. And not really a big spoiler, but just like a general spoiler. They're going on a mission that is very important to the war effort.
Please skip ahead.
No, I'm not going to say what it is.
Oh.
But they have no reason to believe that their mission could be successful. There's no evidence that the thing they're looking for exists at all. They have no reason to believe that what they're looking for exists. They do not know what direction it's in or where in the world it might be. The person who is put in charge of it is a character we've never met before who has no reason to be in charge. That person does not know where he's going, does not know any of the characters on the mission, and is just guessing. There's a scene where they're sitting down to talk about the mission they're going to go on, and then the character that is put in charge, who we have, again, never met before, but that our characters don't like for some reason, is like, I think we're going to go north. And Violet's like, I think we should go south. Literally, to go look for islands that might exist outside of the continent that might have a thing that they have no reason to think exists. It is reading the meeting. They're like, well, we have no evidence that this exists, and we have no reason to go in any direction in particular. So I am just fully guessing north.
Great.
We have 6 months to do this, and I'm guessing north.
Love
and I was
it.
like, you
Love
have
that.
this is what we're going with, is that these characters have no idea where they're going, and they're just going to fly in a random direction and hope. They're going to hope that when they leave the continent, if they fly north, they find an island. That's fucking insane. I was reading the meeting scene. I was like, you're just guessing. You are fully you might as well throw a dart at a fucking board and just fly in whatever direction you hit.
This is Chat's preview of your review of this book. This is your sneak peek snippet.
And they're like, this guy, he is one of our military, he's one of our great military minds. He's going to fucking pull this off. And I'm like, he is throwing darts at a dartboard. And that is the plot of the book. I was losing my fucking mind.
Yeah, so we're not going to book club that one.
I'm not going to do a full book club. I'm going to finish it, and then I'll probably do a like live where I just sit and complain for 2 hours, but
enjoy. Chapter 48, Ash and I.
Yeah.
Chapter 49. Thought that was funny.
It was. I was literally not going to comment. I was like, yeah, let's get to 49.
Great.
I have nothing to say about the Ash and I chapter.
There's a knife.
Yeah, there's a knife.
That's important, I think.
They can't make metal, so they only have ancient metal, which they've somehow kept sharp, I guess.
Yeah.
For thousands of years, that metal hasn't corroded or been used, or it's still in great shape somehow.
They see a chasm fiend for the first time.
Yeah, and then they fight them later.
Yeah, we've already seen those.
We've already. Again, like, I don't need to see the first time two characters who are dead have a conversation about a thing that I know they've seen.
Chapter 49.
It drove me wild.
Is Navani. Basically, she's trying to get her scholars to have a sense of normalcy a little bit, so that they feel okay.
But not a sense of normalcy. She's like, all right, guys, we are going to this. She basically has them doing what I do on movie sets when I'm a background. You guys are going to walk around and look busy, And so we're gonna
Yeah.
orchestrate the looking busy so that they don't know. And then of course Raboniel's like, oh, she's making them do random shit to look busy.
Yeah.
But she's like, okay, things that look like we're getting stuff done that
But
aren't getting stuff done. This is brilliant. I did like this. She's like, all right, I need you to redraw everything you've ever drawn in your life.
Yeah.
That's your job. I just need you to redraw it. Okay.
Pretty much. No, it's great because it's giving Raboniel what she wants, but stalling in a way. Yeah, that's. It makes sense.
I need more space. So we're gonna have to, every time we want to do anything, we have to move these boxes from this wall to this wall.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna work over here for an hour, and then we're gonna take 3 hours to move all the boxes back over. Then we're gonna work over here for an hour. Then we're gonna spend 3 hours moving all the boxes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she is walking over to the wall and like casually leaning right into the sibling.
Casual lean.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
And she's also like, so how's it going? What's the plan? Like,
she's just talking to her armpit.
Yeah, it's very funny. I
also like that the sibling sometimes is the one who's like, okay, you've been talking to me for too long. Get out of here. Go.
Yeah. So they chat. The sibling. So the reason the fused believe that the sibling is dead is because the Midnight Mommy told them. So that's interesting because obviously the Midnight Mommy was in this tower for a very long time. There are 3 other connections to the gem heart, to the heart of the sibling.
The neodes.
Yeah, and the goal is to find those and not let them be corrupted, because if they are corrupted, then Raboniel can get to the sibling.
Yeah, Raboniel can fully corrupt the sibling from a node. Raboniel doesn't have to get through the shield, and so Navani's like, well, let's just destroy the nodes then.
Yeah,
and the sibling's like, well, no, if you destroy the nodes, the shield comes down too, because destroying the first node did weaken it, so that's consistent, right?
Yeah,
and so we have to protect the nodes, while also not. Yeah.
So who is Ba'edo Mishram again?
Ba'edo Mishram?
Yeah.
Is the unmade.
Yeah.
That is responsible for something. I can't remember.
Because there's a thing in here where it's like when the humans bound him, the tower stopped working.
It's Ba'edo Mishram is the unmade that allowed them to make new fused, or what was it?
I'm not sure.
He did something. We already know that he does something.
Do we?
Maybe he was the one that gave them new forms of power?
Unmade we haven't met yet. Okay.
Oh, no. Binding Ba'edo Mishram bound the bound the singers into doll form. When they enslaved all of the
Parsh people,
when they made them into Parsh, or I don't know how to say it properly, but when they bound them and enslaved them, it had to do with the capturing of Ba'edo Mishram,
right? Which we don't know how that happened really, but that's
what it was.
That is what happened 2,000 years ago,
or at least they think. Fuck, that actually probably isn't true. That is what the
fair.
That was a plot that they were like, oh, we can just like re-enslave all the singers again by doing something with Ba'edo Mishram. That was a plot that might have just been dropped. But remember, they were like, oh, if we can just capture Ba'edo Mishram, we can enslave all the singers again.
But I don't think Ba'edo Mishram is free.
No, but I think that had something to do with Ba'edo Mishram. So I feel like I think there was a time when they were thinking that they could just re-enslave the singers. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't think that's the direction I want the book to go.
Right. Yeah, no. I was like, I know that we have heard this name before. I know it is important. Okay. Yeah.
So that's a plot that might not have been a thing. I don't know.
So when the humans bound them, it like stopped the tower from working.
Oh, apparently Ba'edo Mishram is a she, as much as Spren have gender. Sure.
Oh, sure. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay. So
right. So Ba'edo Mishram was bound, and that caused the singers to become dull. except for the listeners who had already cut themselves off from the fuse.
Right.
But then the Everstorm undid what the binding of Bowda Mishram did. So maybe Bowda Mishram was released when...
Maybe she's out there somewhere, but I think
if Dalinar needs a way to scare Odium into taking the Contest of Champions, threatening to dull form all the singers again by capturing Bowda Mishram could be a way to push for a Contest of Champions. That would, because here's the thing, I don't fully buy the, like, we need to scare Odium plotline very much. I don't think there's a lot that Dalinar could do that would really push Odium to that place. But being able to take away his entire army in one fell swoop, I don't think that Dalinar wants to enslave the singers, right?
Yeah.
I don't. I think that Dalinar has learned that that is not good. But I think that Dalinar threatening that in order to get Odium to the table for the Contest of Champions is reasonable and could happen. That is a way the plot could go.
Yeah.
That Odium would feel like he is actually losing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That makes some amount of sense to me. Yeah, I just, like, when this came up in this chapter, I was like, God, I feel like I'm trying to half remember something I thought maybe I knew. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
But would that even work if the Everstorm still exists and can reawaken them each time it passes?
No idea.
Hardly. My guy, I'm just fucking guessing here. I don't fucking understand how any of this works. I don't know what Bowda Mishram did the first time.
Fair.
How can I know if it would work again? I wasn't there. Maybe they can trap the Everstorm in Bowda Mishram.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they can...
Because the Stormfather is a Spren, the Everstorm...
Must be a Spren.
Might be a Spren.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe there can be a fourth Bondsmith now.
Oh, interesting. Maybe, yeah. I would say it's not impossible.
Y'all, I want to be real clear. I am clutching straws. I'm trying to figure this shit out. I have no idea what's going on.
We're just guessing.
I'm doing my best. This book makes no fucking sense.
We find out, well, Navani finds out that Lift and Kaladin are awake.
Yeah, and that Lift was captured and is in a cage, which is...
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Do you think...
Mraize put a child in a cage.
Does Mraize already have the Spren from Jeanot?
I don't know.
Is he a corrupted Radiant already?
It's hard to tell because I don't know when that chapter with Jeanot happened in, like, the actual timeline.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah. Because if Mraize is already a Radiant, it would make sense that it would make a little bit more sense if he was able to capture Lift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly, I wish Lift wasn't in the fucking interludes. I wish that those were that. Honestly, you want to add a little bit of excitement to this section to make it feel like things are happening. Show us Lift running from Mraize and getting captured.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool. Just finding out, again, the most interesting things that happen in this section sometimes happen off page in a really odd way.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, oh, it's Kaladin is also awake, and she suspects it's because he is close to adhesion. He's really good at sticking things.
No, it's because he's almost fourth ideal. It's because he's.
That's what I would have thought, and then the sibling is like, oh no, he's super duper honor adhesion boy.
The sibling just doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Maybe.
This is just a conversation between two people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Maybe, yeah.
It's because it's too confusing for Kaladin to be closer to honor. It should just make it something that actually is part of the world building you've already done. Don't introduce that, like, these characters can get closer to certain surges. You know what I mean? Like that, because that's never going to make sense.
I don't know.
He's just got to be closer to the fourth ideal, and the sibling doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Maybe.
Because I really don't need, like, oh yeah, Shallan has extra special superpowers because she's closer to drawing.
Right. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So we jump to Kaladin.
It's just that he is the closest to the fourth ideal in the tower right now, and he is able to push through.
We're just gonna go with that.
That's all it is.
Kaladin's looking for Stormlight, and he's able to break into one of the lanterns, which is fun. Then they
Oh no, I loved this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea that, like, well, he can't Syl isn't strong enough to lift the latch.
Yeah.
And so Kaladin has to use like magnets to pull the latch towards him using adhesion. And we find out that there's a third kind of adhesion surge. Mm-hmm. So there's like, he has like gravity, he has like sticking something to something else, and then he also has making something pull something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so chat says so adhesion is closer to honor because it's
honor surge.
Yeah, only Dalinar and the Windrunners have it. So it's a combination of Kaladin being of a higher ideal and more. Well, because
I completely disagree with that.
No, because all the Windrunners are closer to waking up. Remember?
Yes, because their entire order came first.
No, it's because they're all closer to adhesion. I guess.
I don't think that's what it is. They're all third ideal or higher. They're all fucking crushing it.
No, not true.
All of the main ones have like
yeah, but all the ones
they all have their swords.
All the ones left at the tower are like people who are not fighting, people who are not as skilled, and all the Windrunners are like twitching in their sleep and closer to waking up than any of the other.
I'm just saying that any fourth ideal or higher radiant would be awake.
Probably, yeah.
I am just saying it can be one thing. It doesn't have to be two different things. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be two different things. It can just be one thing. It doesn't need to be more complicated there's no value in it being more complicated. Like that doesn't actually like make it better.
Well, unless the Windrunners are going to be the first to wake up.
Of course they are. But the Windrunners are the longest. They've been the Radiants the longest.
They've been know why that would matter.
Because if you have to level up towards fourth ideal.
True.
How is it not true?
We saw a random cobbler dude who'd had a spren for a while
die.
Yeah.
Is he around? No.
No, but how do we know who the first Radiant was? Who bonded a spren first? It probably wasn't Kaladin. Kaladin is just the one that we followed.
No, but the Radiants here are relatively newer because the Radiants that have been doing this for a long time fucked off. They took all the best Radiants to war.
But you just said that the Windrunners are closer to waking up because they're the oldest.
Yeah, because the Windrunner order has been around the longest, and they squire for a long time, and then we do.
No, we don't know who was the first Radiant back. We see Syl and Kaladin, but we have no idea.
Sorry, we know that no one else is close to fourth ideal. No one got to third ideal.
Yasna's fourth ideal.
Yasna's not at the tower.
Yeah.
Yasna's not fourth ideal. She doesn't have a shard plate. She's third ideal.
No, they said that Yasna was fourth ideal.
Okay, well then Yasna could walk into the tower and she'd be fine.
Yeah.
No one at the tower. Kaladin was the first person to get it. Well, he wasn't the first person to get a shard plate actually, or shard blade. But of like the modern Radiants who are still here, none of them are that far along. They don't have like the best Radiants with them, right?
Yes.
All of the best Radiants went with Dalinar.
Yeah, so I don't know what that has to do with the Windrunners being the closest to waking
I am
up.
saying that I don't need there to be two different reasons. It can be one thing, and it can be one good thing. And the good thing is...
so you're like choosing not to acknowledge
I am saying that trying to say that there's this added element of like being closer to adhesion is also a way, is just, it's making it unnecessarily complicated for the sake of the plot not moving forward because...
I don't know if that changes the pace of the plot.
If you're married, you have achieved the highest level of adhesion in your familial bonds, right? So are Windrunners who are married suddenly going to be closer to waking up because they have put a ring on it than a Windrunner who isn't married? Like what is the connection to adhesion that you can like put a logical stamp on to make this world make more sense versus just saying there's one thing: the closer you are to fourth ideal, the closer you are to waking up. It is.
So I'm just saying that you are choosing.
I'm
believe that.
I'm saying there are characters saying that it has to do with adhesion. I don't trust them to be right.
Okay.
These aren't facts, right? These are just characters talking, and I think those characters are wrong. I think they're trying to figure it out, and I just think they're wrong, because I think it's too complicated to be like, well, if you have a lot of friends and a close circle, then you're going to be closer to waking up because you're better at making bonds with people.
Wait, what? Where did you get that information from?
What do you mean? That's how bonds work in this world.
You have a lot of friends, so you're closer to waking up?
Yeah, because your adhesion is stronger.
They are the only ones that use the surge of adhesion, yeah.
Yeah, I know, and so like
which is of honor.
Right, yeah.
And so because the sibling is the child of honor and cultivation, that then being close to the surge that is of honor would mean that, like, you are stronger there.
Sure.
I think that
and adhesion still works. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm just saying that, like, sure. Yeah.
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 Kaladin, so they break into the lamp, the lamp cage, and they find the Devotary of Mercy, where that guy from the Devotary before is there and recognizes him, which I think we were reacting to this, and you were like, oh, is it going to be this guy? And then it was that guy.
Oh, yeah, because he goes back to the same...
There's only one guy that works at the Devotary of Mercy.
Now that he got away from the Pursuer one time, he is able to move about this tower with no problems.
Sneaky. Yeah.
It doesn't feel sneaky. It just kind of feels like he gets around. This is where I wish it had been more tense. I wish, like, getting in here had been more tense. It sort of feels like he walks in and is like, hey, here's my grocery list. Can you get these? Yeah. And it's like I wish the language here had been like Kaladin slunk into the room and closed the doors quietly behind him as he could, holding his hand over the mouth of this adept. But he kind of walks in and is like, hey, and the guy's like, oh, Stormblessed, hi, you're here.
It's you.
That's what's weird about it to me, is it doesn't feel like Kaladin is, like, working all that hard to keep this secret.
Well...
Like, the guy yells, like, Stormblessed, and Kaladin isn't like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? And there could have been language that made this feel a little bit more like it was
more tense.
Circumspect. And instead it just sort of felt like they were just having a conversation full volume, and then that wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
And I get it. Your theory was huge. But I genuinely, this was one of the scenes where, like, I felt the desperation for, like, the bedpan and stuff was great. And it is really important that he has those things. And that was cool. And the understanding that, like, Tef doesn't have Stormlight to heal his asshole, and so making sure that he's not getting a rash down there is actually very important right now. No, but seriously.
Yeah.
Like, a bedpan, we joke about having to clean bedpans. It's a gross thing. It is one of the most important thing that nurses do.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Like, there is nothing that is going to lead to disease faster than unconscious people not having that literal shit taken away from them and cleaned properly. You are going to get infection. You're going to get sepsis. You're going to get all of these problems. And so I like that Brandon Sanderson was paying attention to that. I thought that was really smart and really well done. I just also felt like Kaladin getting here and getting back felt like
a little casual.
A little too easy. Yeah. I wish that it felt less dire in the equipment that's needed, because he's going to a hospital. He knows those things are going to be there, and more dire in the, like, getting there is really hard.
Yeah.
And he's like, because he's just like, I'll be back for more supplies later. Can you get me more supplies? Instead of, like, please collect supplies. I am going to do my best to come back, but you might not see me again. Like, that would have just leaned into the tension a little bit more here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it is just that Kaladin's a very confident character, but.
Yeah, he's, like, trying not to freak him out.
Yeah.
Navani and Kaladin have a little chit chat. They're able to exchange important information. They need to figure out how the oath gates are working, because everyone's very confused as to how they're able to do that when the sibling is switched.
I don't understand why they're so confused.
Oh, how are they working?
Void light.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't understand. I don't understand what the big confusion is. If all you have to do is talk to the two guards on the other side and convince them, I don't know. And I don't even know that those guards can see who's going through. It just seems like
No, you have to put a shard blade in the oath gate.
No, a herald blade. They have Moash's sword.
I don't
Navani
think
already
Moash's
knows it's
sword
Moash.
Channels void light, though.
I don't think that you need to channel the void light through the sword. I just think that you need the light to be channeled.
What?
I don't think that when they're using the oath gate that they're channeling their stormlight through the sword. I think that the stormlight is channeled into the device, and the sword is just the key that unlocks it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think it's just obvious that the Oath Gates can also use void light?
I just think that's the most obvious solution. Yeah. Like if you were like, this thing works with our light, it's not like the singers don't have fabrials. They do, that use void light. So like we already know that void light can power fabrials. That's not a surprise, right? That they power the fabrial that takes Kaladin's power away at the beginning of this book. So if you know two things are true, right? You know that you need light to power the Oath Gates, and three things are true. You have used your light to power fabrials, and they have used their light to power fabrials. It is reasonable to me to think that their light could run the Oath Gates. Like the idea that the lights are more than just power systems.
I just don't know if I can recall seeing a fabrial be used by both Stormlight and Voidlight.
Yeah, and Bryce, Navani already knows that it's Moash. I said in one of our
Yes,
reactions when Navani and Kaladin are talking about that, because Navani's like, I need you to figure out how they're using the Oath Gates, and doesn't tell Kaladin about Moash, which to me is the dumbest fucking thing. Because Navani knows that Moash and Kaladin have a relationship, and the fact that she doesn't warn him that it's Moash is just wildly irresponsible to me.
Yeah.
Just absolutely irresponsible that she does not inform Kaladin here. I'm really disappointed in Navani's actions, but...
Yeah. I just don't think I've ever seen a fabrial be used by both Stormlight and Voidlight before. We've seen different fabrials use different lights,
Sure, but I understand what you're saying. I just think that assuming that one power source that you've seen run fabrials is not the same as another power source that you've seen run, just because the fabrials are different. You've already seen a fabrial using Voidlight before.
No, it's like if you have a car, you don't put a certain kind of gas in a certain kind of car. It doesn't work.
Oh, sure, yeah. And it's possible that that's the case, but clearly they are running the Oath Gate.
Well, and so, Kaladin does see a flash of void light. I just, at this point in the book, I don't know how you knew. Yeah, at this point in the book, I had no clue.
I'm just saying Stormlight doesn't work, and the Oath Gate is working. So it's not Stormlight. The only other power source they know of is void light. I'm not saying that I would be 100% certain, but like my hypothesis immediately would be like, oh, okay, that you can use void light for these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my assumption, I'm not saying my assumption would be correct. My assumption might still not be right? It might actually
do see a flash of void light, so I don't know.
It might actually be, the true answer might be that Moash is able to use Stormlight to power the Oath Gates because he has a Herald Blade, which gives him like 5th ideal level power. Mm-hmm. And so because he's 5th ideal, because it's a Herald Blade, he can just push through and use Stormlight anyway. Like that might be the honest answer. I don't know what the honest answer is. I'm just saying that, like, the fact that Navani is like, I just don't understand, and isn't assuming that, like, well, they have a power source, it's just different than ours, is strange to me. It's not wrong. I get it, like, but, yeah.
Yeah, maybe maybe Odium had Ja and Nat, like, corrupt them.
Carrion says, wait, someone remind me, when did Navani see Moash in the tower? She doesn't see Moash. She, is in a conversation with somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, they're using the Herald Blade, and then she turns and breaks the fourth wall to the camera and goes, and it's the Arthur clenches his fist meme, and it's like, Moash.
Yeah, she has a moment of like that motherfucker that killed my son.
Yeah. So she hasn't seen him, but because she hears Herald Blade, it's the only person with a Herald Blade that they know about.
Yeah.
On Odium's side right now, right?
I think, yeah, there was something.
She's assuming it's Moash, but...
Fair, yeah.
That was last week's reading.
Yeah.
No, yeah. What were we talking about? That
Kaladin needs to figure out how the Oath Gates are working.
We also, like, find out... and I guess they just don't know that Voidlight powers Fabrials, but it clearly does, right? Because it also runs the span reads. Mm-hmm. So, like, they just... were unaware. I guess that's what the plot moves forward in this section, in that Navani and Kaladin learned that Voidlight runs Fabrials.
Yeah. And the sibling is like, well, okay, I guess Oath Gates are fine because the Spren said it was okay to become Fabrials.
Yeah.
As long as the Spren consent, it's fine.
Yeah.
Chapter 50.
Also, the Spren... in the case of the Oath Gates, the Spren didn't really become the Fabrials. The Spren guard it.
But they are the Fabrials. That's why they're in Shadesmar on the other side. In the same way that
there's no Spren on the other side with Soulcasters.
Yeah, there is.
No, there's not.
Yeah, they're like, wow, we look into Shadesmar and there's a Spren there. That's so weird, but there's no Spren captured in this thing. They literally say that.
Yeah. That's what it is. You're right. No. You're right. I'm wrong. No, you're right. Right.
Yeah. So they're still there in Shadesmar.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is.
Do you think that the more you... Okay, sorry, this is going to slow us down again. Do you think the more you use a Soulcaster, because it, like, turns you to stone or whatever, do you think that if you were to look into Shadesmar at where someone who's used a Soulcaster for so long that they're, like, smoking away, that their body would be in Shadesmar?
No, I think it's... So, you know how you can convince a Spren to become something else?
Yeah.
I think that the reverse becomes true, where the Spren convince the humans to become something else. Because they do it over and over and over again.
Or they convince themselves.
Huh?
Or the human convinces themselves.
Well, yeah, I just think
by doing it repeatedly, like the human's body starts to believe that it is wood.
Yeah.
Damn, that's dark.
Yeah. That's why, like, because we got the POV of that one person who is like... was trying to find a cure for what they were going through, but in the moment where they like died, they like had like positive thoughts about it. Like it was very weirdly conflicting.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like they kind of wanted it, but didn't really want it.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, their body did. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a really cool idea.
I think that's going to be what it comes down to.
Yeah,
if that Spren can be convinced to be other things, then the reverse can be true.
It's so interesting because like it's a really cool concept that I just don't know how important it's going to be moving forward, because like how much are Soulcasters really going to be present in the plot now that we have characters who can Soulcast without the side effects.
Yeah, and for some reason Void Spren can't be convinced of anything, because if the Void Spren could be convinced, maybe yes, but yeah, if the Void Spren could be convinced to like become something else and not corrupt people, then that might have interesting implications. But yeah, we would have to see if that's even possible first.
Where are we at?
We're at Dalinar, in the tent after Dalinar or Taravangian's been locked up. There have been more reports back and forth between the tower of they're trying to get things to work properly, and it's gonna take some time. Then Yasna comes in.
Yep.
And she's a very active participant in the battle plans.
Intentionally, like, loudly commenting on the strategy.
Yes. They're also very intent on, like, figuring out a way to get Odium to set terms for the Contest of Champions.
Yeah, because Dalinar's like, he agreed. And they're like, did he set terms? And Dalinar's like,
yeah.
No, he didn't.
Also, Yasna is like, yeah, I think I'm probably going to be the last queen of Alucard. Yeah, I think after me, like, we're going to do some democracy.
Dalinar's like, God, these Azish can't get anything done. And she's like, yeah, but they also, like they're
thriving.
But, well, and she's like, their system of government has lasted significantly longer than ours. And he's like, no, we're a monarchy. And she's like, yeah, for 12 years.
Yeah. And she's also like, the leaders of Alucard like die horrible, violent deaths because everyone's so fucking awful. Like,
yeah. She's like, fucking, Alucard has been empire for half my life. Less, because she's what, like 33? She's like, I was 20 when Alucard became a kingdom.
Pretty much, yeah.
What are you talking about? This isn't some, like, great system that has lasted centuries. We've been a kingdom for, like, a third of my life, Dalinar. And we've had 3 kings. Or 2 kings and a queen.
Yeah.
We're on our 3rd ruler in my adulthood.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. And he's like, no, it's the best system because you can get shit done fast. And she's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
We have been a kingdom since I turned 20, and we are on our 3rd monarch. This is not a system that is going to last. This is not going to work.
Yeah.
Aesir Yes, sure. They went through a period of time recently where they had like 5 leaders in 12 days, but that was because someone was with superpowers was actively murdering them constantly.
Yeah. Yasna is organizing the No Kings protest right now.
Seth Butler says your dates are wrong, but point is valid. I know I'm not getting the exact years right, but like,
yeah,
it hasn't been. Maybe Gavilar, maybe Alethkar is like 20 years old, but Adolin was like 12 or
so when they so Elhokar was what 22, I think. So the kingdom has to be maybe 25 years old.
No, because Adolin was there. When Adolin was alive when the Empire was happening.
No, he was alive when Dalinar was trying to like quell rebellions and stuff. Technically,
that was the end of but the Empire wasn't complete until then. All of the separate princedoms were not a part of Alethkar. Alethkar wasn't unified,
right? Not
until
all of
Adolin
them.
was old enough to be like there for it. Gavilar started the campaign before Adolin was born, but Gavilar did not unite all of Alethkar until Adolin was like 9, and he's like 22, right?
I'm honestly not sure.
So yeah, sure. Like you could, if you go from like when Gavilar had like 6 of the kingdoms,
yeah,
and was king, then it's the dates are a little bit further back.
Yeah,
but I'm going from like when the war was over,
yeah,
to Yasna is like 12 or 13 years,
right?
Maybe 14 years, and there's 3 monarchs in that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, like Seth said, like your point is definitely still valid. Depending on what the exact dates are, it doesn't really matter.
Well, and Bluesung is bringing up the point that I was trying to get to, and even with all the deaths of the empires, it is still their system still works, right? They went through 5 rulers in like 3 months, or I can't remember the exact timeline, but they went through like 5 rulers in 3 months, and nothing fell apart.
Collapse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yasna's being
Bluesung, you're absolutely right.
super loud, trying to goad High Prince Ruthar, and it works.
Yeah, he's like, you guys, everyone in the room,
a woman.
Can you believe? Hey, fucking what are the seafaring people?
The seafaring people.
Yeah, where the fight
Thalans?
was. Yeah, hey Thalans, can you believe this queen is involved in these discussions? And the Thalans are like, yeah, we have a queen.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say here, my dude.
But he's like, I can't believe this woman thinks that she can do smart boy things. This is a smart boy thing. We eat spicy food and we go to war.
Yeah. Carrie, welcome back to the Nerds Radiant, Wit, Yasna said harsher.
So Ruthar basically challenges her, and Wit starts making fun of him.
No. Well, sorry, yes, doesn't formally challenge. Sorry, I got confused with the formal challenge.
No. Because he challenges Wit formally, but he starts challenging Yasna's authority.
Yes.
Which is to the point, right? And Wit steps up and starts delivering. You know what?
Like
some of the best
insults.
Not writing of Hoyd, but writing of wit.
Yeah.
Like the concept of a wit and what the purpose of a wit would be in one of these kingdoms. This is, I think, Brandon Sanderson's best example of that writing.
Yeah.
It is funny, but it is poignant.
And then it gets less funny.
Yeah. But no, I genuinely think that, I think that Brandon Sanderson paid off something about Way of Kings that I didn't think worked as well. Mm-hmm. I thought the wit was... I thought it was a little too on the nose that he wasn't actually a wit in book 1, but now this pays off that moment, that character idea really, really well, and I thought this really was great.
Yeah, it was.
Linus Victor, really quickly, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you so much.
Even
Linus.
More to Nerdy's point, the Sunmaker had a kingdom way before that fell apart as soon as he died. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And Yasna just doesn't want to go the way of the Sunmaker.
Yeah, Dalinar's just bad at history. He forgets that shit didn't work.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh my god. This was wild.
It's really funny until he's like, but my next joke is my funniest joke. You beat your children, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Wow. Okay. All right. And like, you can tell that like Wit is like, you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
My guy.
Which fucking Dalinar is like, that's strange. I beat my children too.
What?
No, but you know he would have. Dalinar spanked his kids. Dalinar is not a parent who did.
He wasn't around enough to.
Sure, I'm just saying that Dalinar isn't the kind of guy that's like, don't spank your children. Let's be real fucking for real fast.
I don't think there's anything in this whole series that indicates that Dalinar would beat his children.
I'm not saying beat, like, I don't think he would have break an Aelin's arm. You know what I mean? But the idea that Dalinar would be anti-spanking is, I don't think
there's much of a difference between giving a kid a strap and breaking their arm.
You don't. That's fine. The majority of human society for the history of human life would say there is a big difference. One is controlled and one isn't, right? One is intentional and one isn't.
What do you mean intentional?
I don't think that... I think that generally when you think of like a abusive father breaking their kid's arm, you're thinking about someone who is generally doing it out of anger and doing it in the moment. And that's not their intention or goal, right? Like, I don't think they're like, my punishment for you is that I'm going to break your arm. They do it because they have an anger problem. Whereas while a modern society is anti-spanking, and I personally am anti-spanking, right? Mm-hmm. It was used as a very common form of punishment for many years, intentionally and without the goal of like infringing on their long-term ability to move their arm, right? I think that to say that they're the exact same thing is just unfair to history.
I don't know. I actually think that the violent forms of punishment are probably more like Western thing.
He did beat Elhokar. That is true. He literally beat the shit out of Elhokar in a book. We watched it happen. The idea that Dalinar would be against... I think that... I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I'm not a fan of corporal punishment. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah.
I think that it is bad, and I think that the science says that it's bad. But even in the 50s, when it was, like, the most common... Like, your school teachers would spank kids.
Again, in North America, I have no idea, like...
Sure. Even those teachers that would spank their kids would say that a dad who broke his kid's arm was going too far, right? Like we just societally accepted that those were different things.
Yeah.
So I think that I think Dalinar would be pro spanking. I think that he would be anti breaking your kid's arm. I do think those are different.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. While also acknowledging, like, in modern society, I think if you do either, you're terrible. But 50 years ago, if you were to take a time machine back 50 years and try and explain that spanking was bad to people, they would look at you like you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the times have changed, not that that people who spanked in the 50s were bad people, right? They're just bad from our modern lens. But at the time, like, you'd be weird if you thought that spanking was bad. Plenty of people didn't spank their kids in the 50s, but
I don't know how. I know you believe that it was that everyone was doing it. I don't know if that's true. Like, I think a lot of people
it was common enough that they had to legally remove it from schools. Like, it was a process to make it illegal for your school teacher to spank you. That's like a law now because that was just a thing that happened.
Yeah. I don't know.
And yeah, and people in the chat are saying like they were doing that in the 2000s.
Yeah, well.
50 years ago is the 70s. Yeah, no, I spanking is very, very, or at least was very, very, very common. It probably still is common, realistically.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I don't want to say that like someone breaking their arm and someone spanking their kid is the same because I don't think culturally it is the same.
Sure.
Even though I personally am against either of them.
Yeah.
I can also acknowledge that, like, you know, different people are raised in very different ways. Eric Wood says they had forms if you wanted to opt out of your kid being spanked. It was considered the norm. Yeah. Yeah, so, like, it was very, very common.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyways, Wit verbally...
Wait, Hippo Blue says, I'm almost certain spanking is still legal in some schools in the U.S. Really?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Wild.
The U.S. has not progressed with the rest of the world.
To say the rest of the world, everywhere on Earth has its own problems.
Sure, except for Finland. Apparently everyone's
Finland is great.
Really fucking happy there. And you know what? I want to know what the Finnish are doing.
Maybe they spank their kids though. Like you don't know that the Finnish don't spank their kids.
I don't know for sure, but
I'm gonna find out. Here, you talk about wit. I'm gonna find out if Finnish people spank.
I'm just saying, whatever's going on in the Netherlands seems to be pretty great, and I would like some of that actually. But yeah, Wit verbally spanks Ruthar, and Ruthar doesn't like it, so he challenges Wit to a duel, which is illegal. It's illegal to kill the king or queen's Wit. And so Wit is like, you're right. I accept, but I'm not gonna fight for myself. Actually, Jasna is going to fight for me. And
oh shit. So up until 1969, parents had a legal right to corporal punishment.
Okay, yeah.
It was removed in 1969. And
where? In Finland?
In Finland.
Oh, okay.
And then in 1983, they made it illegal to do any corporal punishment of children at all.
That's why they're so happy.
Yeah.
We've found the answer.
Yeah.
Damn.
This is such a wild statement. Only 24% of respondents admitted to occasionally pulling a child's hair.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen parents like grab this area of a kid to like steer that, like to prevent them from doing things.
I've never heard of like grabbing hair as. I guess I've never had enough hair to like.
Yeah.
For that to be a thing. Interesting. But yeah, it's been illegal there since 1983.
Yeah, yeah.
God, we need to move to Finland.
I know.
We could talk like this.
Why?
Be like, hello, I would like a coffee.
Are we going to Sweden or what?
This is how I talk in Finland.
Is it?
Yeah, this is actually fluent Finnish.
Finnish. Actually, yes. Wow, you just offended.
There are 19 states that allow corporal punishment.
Wow.
Guys, it's 2025.
This is what I mean with the U.S. has not advanced with the rest of the world like Finland. We should all be following Finland's example. All right. Anyone here from Finland wanna? How do Canadians immigrate? Please.
That's insane.
There was some stuff last year about some states bringing back corporal punishment. So we're regressing. Great. I love that for us, Blue.
The corporal punishment will continue until morale improves.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Carrie, that's what they think.
Oh, I think Kira is from Finland. Kira says we're welcome here. So we're gonna.
Wait, really?
We're gonna.
Wait, is actually someone in chat from Finland? We are so happy. Oh my God,
so?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What's up, Finland? I really hope that you did not get offended by the Finlish I just spoke.
They did, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Apparently, they have a couple friends who immigrated to Canada from Finland. Oh, okay, cool.
Wow, holy fucking airball.
What?
Well, Finland seems so happy.
Oh, look, the Netherlands seems like a great place to live, and we already have several friends over there.
Yeah.
We'll just go stay with oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
Muddles?
No. Fuck, we met her in Japan.
Adeline?
Yes. We'll just go stay with Adeline.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Wit is verbally abusing Ruthar.
Yeah, we got to the stabbing point.
And so he's like,
We got to the stabbing point while you were Googling.
You got all the way to the stab?
Yeah.
Did you talk about how Jasna was the champion?
Yes.
Fuck. I just wanted to know if the Finnish spanked their kids. I love the idea that
oh my God,
killing the queen's wit is so illegal that you can't even do it in a challenge.
Yeah, right? Like they're like, no, you're not allowed.
You can.
Otherwise, no one would take the job. Like, let's be fucking for real here. If someone could just formally challenge you and kill you as like the wit, like that would be the mortality rate would be far too high.
I don't know that people have a. I mean, Hoyd did. I don't think that wits before Hoyd necessarily took the job so much as they were told that it's their job now. You know what I mean? I don't know how much asking was involved in like becoming a court jester back in the day.
Good question.
I think a king kind of went, "Oh, you're funny.
You're gonna be my wit."
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're like, "Fuck, I'm gonna die. I got 3 years at most." Like.
And so yeah, Jasna stabs him. I kind of wish she'd let him die, but
Wit of the week is very funny.
I think that Dalinar really saves Jasna here in a way that I think that she overlooked.
How so?
We find out later that Dalinar... So Ruthar is healed by Renarin,
Mm-hmm.
And Renarin is like, hey, Dad, we also need to talk later. And Dalinar, behind the scenes, puts Ruthar in a nice house and gives him like a stipend so that he's not begging.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that Yasna's cruelty... Yasna lacks empathy a little bit, right? It's one of her character flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things to understand about empathy is understanding the like ramifications of your actions for the people who are similar to the person you're harming, right? If you attack one guy on a football team, you might think you're done with that one guy on the football team, but the football team's going to feel a way about that. And Dalinar putting the High Prince in a position where the other High Princes, he specifically doesn't put him up in Yurthiru, he doesn't put him up in Alethkar, he gives him a house in Aesir. And the reason why he does that is so that the other High Princes don't see him all the time in a begging position. They're not constantly reminded of the fact that Yasna did something that they might view as out of line. And it's really, it is, in my opinion, really good writing that Dalinar is not as smart as Yasna, but he does understand things about ruling that she doesn't. And one of those things has to do with the empathy of the leader, right? And that, yes, you can be the smartest and you can be the strongest person in the room, but if you lose the room because they have to walk by a person that they respected or that they were friends with every single day because of you, that can have long-term effects that will be far more detrimental than that guy's initial thing would have been in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Yasna does cover the immediate basis of like his family, at least, right? Like is going to make sure that she's not immediately undercut by the people that she's like promoting by
100%, and I agree with
down
that.
A peg.
But the problem with that is that not all of the other High Princes who aren't great and don't love that there's a woman in charge are gonna have family members that hate their dad as much as Ruthar did. Right? Like, you can't do that with every single family. And I think that this is... The reason why I like this, for both Yasna and Dalinar, is that Yasna is so genius that she could become a really difficult character if she didn't have any flaws. And why I like Yasna is that she isn't very empathetic. She doesn't really care about slaves. She thinks that it is pragmatic for the country for there to not be slavery. But she doesn't make an emotional argument for that, right?
Here's the thing. I actually think, I think that Yasna's empathy is just too constrained by her logic, because she does seem
that's the point that I'm making.
Yeah, like she seems to be empathetic towards people who are like, yes, it's pragmatic, but she does seem to have a level of empathy towards people who have just been caught into slavery. But her empathy immediately ends as soon as she believes someone deserves their punishment. The people in the alley, she thought deserved to die, right? Like Ruthar, she thought deserved to die. And so it is interesting that her empathy is very conditional and does not extend to people that she feels are not good people.
No, 100%. I would say that that's not empathy. That's not actual empathy, right? I don't think that truly empathic people don't get to choose who they feel empathy towards, right? They just feel empathy towards the person. And
Then I'm not an empathetic person.
I disagree with that.
If something bad happens to somebody that I think like brought it upon themselves, I don't really feel bad for them.
Sure, if you think that it's justified, but I don't think that you go out of your way to hurt. I don't think that you are particularly vengeful.
No.
I don't think that you go out of your way to hurt someone that you think should be hurt.
No.
I think that you are, and so I think that if someone is hurt, even if you don't like them, you still feel bad about it.
Sometimes.
Yeah. If you think it is justified, you don't. But if you don't, if it's not like justified to you, then you still feel bad about it, even if you don't love that person, right? I think that you also are able to connect with people's emotions very easily, in a way that I don't think Yasna is. I don't think Yasna like picks up on the room very well. She kind of dictates the room because I think that she struggles with picking up on the vibe.
Yeah.
But I think that the reason why I'm saying this is I think it's important, right? I think it's important that Yasna has this weakness. This because it makes her three-dimensional. If Yasna was also really good at understanding people, she would feel like a device to just always be doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think she is. I don't think the way she handles Ruthar is necessarily 100% the right thing. I think that Dalinar softens it at the end to help her out because Dalinar understands something about ruling that she doesn't, particularly about ruling men. And Dalinar understands that, yes, Yasna wants to build this feminist future where there's equality and all of these great things, but Dalinar is the one who's like, we're not there yet. And I have a problem with the way he views slavery in that, and I understand that. Yeah. But there is a practicality to Dalinar that Yasna is ignoring.
Yeah, they each have their own pitfalls that are just in different places.
And it's why the scene is so great.
Yeah.
It's why the interplay between them is great. And it's why it's great that he's a king and she's a queen, and that they're working together. Because Dalinar is making up for the ways in which Yasna is not fully seeing the picture of her queendom, right? And Yasna is pushing the progressive elements that Dalinar should be pushing, but Dalinar doesn't see the value in.
Yeah.
The interplay between the two of them as monarchs is fantastic because they're filling in the holes in each other's like sight. And it makes for really like a really great, because I was worried about her being like, you're gonna beg or you're gonna become a low-level soldier. And I'm like, do not let him become a low-level soldier. The last thing you want in your army is a low-level soldier that used to be a leader. You do not want that. It is bad for morale. It is bad for the structure of your army to demote someone in that way and make them do kind of the grunt work.
Yeah, I do think though it is a statement.
It's 100% a statement.
Light eyes and dark eyes, right? And
well, it doesn't really have to do anything with light eyes and dark eyes anymore, but
well, it kind of still does, right? Like there's only been so much of a blend between that like line of what you can and can't do based on the color of your eyes. If there is a light-eyed person who's like a beggar or a soldier, like that just doesn't happen. And
there are light-eyed foot soldiers.
Foot soldiers? No.
Yeah, there are companies of like just light-eyed foot soldiers, for sure. There's no way there are no light-eyed like
they're
units.
all like officers, generals.
I don't know that we don't know that that's true. That might be true, but we don't know that that's true for sure. I'm just saying that Dalinar understands that this would have been bad, and he corrects for this missing piece of Yasna's vision.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like the two of them building this together, and that they kind of do it behind each other's backs a little bit. They genuinely have each other's best interests at heart.
Yeah.
In all of these scenes. They just also don't trust each other to do the right thing all the time. And so they're being really like sneaky and mischievous with each other, even though they do want what's best for both people.
Yeah.
It's a cool relationship between two monarchs in a way that I don't think I've ever really seen before. Yeah. You don't really see stories where there are two monarchs fighting a war together and they're related.
Right.
Because they love each other.
Yeah.
They want what's best for each other. They just also like don't see the world the same way in like a very true way. In a very three-dimensional way, these two characters view the world fundamentally differently, and they're still finding a way to work together.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think it is, as much as I say like this doesn't move the plot forward, it is really exhilarating to read.
Yeah,
right. It's great writing.
I agree.
Linus, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you so much.
Yasna Dalinar is an interesting correlation to Taravangian toggling between IQ and EQ, in my opinion. Oh, there's definitely an element of that.
Yeah.
Like Yasna and Dalinar together can beat Taravangian because they have both sides.
Yeah, whereas Taravangian can only be one at a time and like cannot connect the two.
Hartley is like, yeah, they talk about tenors, light eyes with no real money who work normal jobs. Yeah, that's what I figured. There are like the lowest. It's like dons and nons, right? I can't remember if the nons are the dark eyes or the dons are the light eyes. But
I can't remember either.
The lowest rung of light eyes would be regular soldiers.
All right.
Yeah, I just think it's great. I think that they're. But I'm not saying that Yasna has no empathy. I'm just saying that when she overlooks a situation, it is out of a lack of empathy. I'm not saying she's lacking it completely.
She just prioritizes logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if Yasna was a more empathetic person, then the lesson from Way of Kings would have went fundamentally differently.
Yeah.
Because she would understand that killing 3 men in an alley doesn't solve for crime.
Yeah.
she viewed it as logically, if I remove these 3 men, there are 3 less men doing crime.
Yes.
Not understanding that vacuums of power within criminal organizations don't go away by just killing members.
Yeah.
If they did, then we would just go and kill criminals. But we know that doesn't work. Like, we just know fundamentally as a society that actually doesn't accomplish what you think it's going to accomplish. It actually can create more criminals 20 years down the road because those people's kids end up becoming criminals because they have no other way through life, right?
Yeah.
The reality of fighting crime is a much more difficult process than just kill criminals, right? And we've known that forever. And
again, it's why Finland is so happy
because they killed the criminals.
No, have you seen?
I know, Finnish prisons are
their prisons. They actually try and rehabilitate people.
It's
incredible.
We could move to Finland and then commit murder, and then we could just live for free in a prison. I know we just bought a house.
I don't know if we could do book club from prison though.
I mean, we could do book club to the other prisoners. It'd be a different community.
Okay. Yeah.
We could start over. They don't know that we've read Wheel of Time. We could just do Wheel of Time again.
Stop. Oh my god. That's very funny. But there's one person who knows the secret, and then we have to like figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Who's watched all of our book clubs.
But the empathy deficit that Jasna has is just necessary, or else her character would just be too it would be too much.
Yeah.
She would be boring.
Yeah, no, I think
she'd be too capable.
I think she's so well written. Like, I love having her as a character.
100%.
And again, I do wish we got her POV, but I'm also like, we can't really get her POV.
Yeah. I hope we do. Maybe in Wind and Truth, once we kind of know more.
Right?
Nerdy, you want to read Crossroads of Twilight again? I mean, I'm going to at some point. I am going to do a review in Finnish. Yeah, I'll read Crossroads of Twilight in Finnish.
Oh my god, we'd have to learn Finnish, which is apparently really hard.
Yeah.
You could probably do a book club from prison as long as you aren't high-risk prisoners. Well, shit. There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know if the internet would be fast enough, but
I mean, it's Finland. It probably would be. They probably have Google Fiber in Finnish prisons.
Sure. Yeah. Why wouldn't they? Oh my god. All jokes aside, though, I do really want to go to the Netherlands. I just want to
Oh yeah, me too.
I want to experience that.
Yeah, no, I would love to. I want to see so much of Europe. The fact that we've only been to London is so sad to me.
I know.
We'll get there.
I know.
We just have once we're settled in our house, we'll be able to think about traveling again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be.
We traveled so much last year, and we're not.
No.
I mean, we did Japan for a month though, so
we did.
Yeah.
We did one big trip this year, but the house takes priority for the next minute because we got.
Well, we don't have any money left.
Yeah, we paid for a house, so
we spent everything we had to buy a house. So.
Yeah, worth it, but
yeah. Thank you for the super chats. We can have dinner tonight.
God,
we're not that. I'm joking. Yeah. So Jasna kills Ruthar, brings him back. Thankfully, his soul does not become Zeth's soul but
right.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But, chapter 51 is, Venli and Raboniel. This is where Raboniel is like, I know what what Navani's doing.
Yeah.
I am also very smart. And, Venli goes to meet with one of the singers who wants to escape.
Yep.
Who is like, hey, one of our people's been a little too loud trying to recruit people. That's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna have to talk to her about that. It's gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
They also are should we team up with the humans of the tower to try to escape? But if we do that, maybe they will think less of us. Maybe we won't get the equality that we're looking for in a society that we want. But they do decide to, regardless, care for the Radiants.
Yep.
And maybe try and wake them if it seems like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And then if they freak out, just be like, oh, they woke up by themselves. So weird.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know much of an opinion. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's tough. Some of these chapters, man, I was like, this conversation was nice to read.
Yeah. Chapter 52 is another flashback. This is the first Alzheimer's moment that we see. Which is
shocking information. Didn't have it before.
Yes. I mean, it was rough to read, but it didn't really give us any additional information.
It also just doesn't. It doesn't change how I view Ven. It doesn't like really inform how Venli became who she is because I just knew that this happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I didn't know the exact date of it, but I was like, yeah, at some point she had her first Alzheimer's flashback. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the humans show up again, and Venli doesn't like how much they're talking to her.
And then a human tells her to
Axendwith. What a name.
Helps her.
Who the fuck is this?
Does it matter?
No idea. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basically is like, hey, you want some power? You want some power?
Take this fucking bead. It's the same bead Gavilar has, right?
No. It's a gemstone with a spren inside. Like how they change forms. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a captured spren. And it's like, yeah, go out in the storm and break it and you'll get a new form.
Yeah.
Axendwith just sounds very close to, like, it, I don't know why, but it sounds like a terrace name.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but immediately I was like,
yeah, I could see that maybe they're a ghost blood or something.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, probably.
I guess the only problem I have with this is that Venli didn't figure it out herself.
She said she thought she knew.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Maybe she just didn't know how to, like,
yeah, the rings didn't give me major Terrace vibes. Yeah, for sure,
yeah. Yeah. Maybe she just didn't know how to capture the spren. She did say that she was like, I think I know how to get Warform. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to the council and we're going to talk about it. And then the humans showed up and we have no idea what happened after that. So it feels like Venli at least made some kind of progress, but then is kind of undercut by someone like walking in and giving the answer.
Yeah, and maybe Axendwith becomes really important. So like maybe all the point of these flashbacks is actually to introduce us to Axendwith because they're a big part of the story later on.
Probably.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
A person shows up and gives her a gem. It's a thing.
Yep. Chapter 53. This is where Venli learns Kaladin is awake. So she also finds out the pursuer is pursuing him. So she goes and she tells Leshwi, and Leshwi's like, I'm going to get his family and I'm going to protect him. And that's, yeah. Cool.
Cool. Again,
I agree.
These chapters are good.
I genuinely thought, I was like, oh my god, Kaladin's family's going to be killed. They're going to be tortured. They're going to be executed. Like, Kaladin's going to have to come out of hiding. He's going to have to do something about it. Nope. Chapter 54.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be flippant about it. We also kind of talked about what happens in this chapter at the beginning of book club today.
Yes.
So I don't want to go over it again. It is just these chapters are just sort of like repeatedly watching different characters find out Kaladin is still awake, watching different characters find out about this information, and like it's just interesting that there's this invasion happening and it should be tense, and instead it is just sort of this like slow process of I think that's why it feels slow. The book feels like it needs to explain to us in the Eshonai chapters things that we already know how they happened, and in the Tower chapters Brandon Sanderson needs us to understand when people found out about other people being part of the story that we already know are part of the story.
Yeah.
So just having the moment where Navani finds out, and the moment where Venli finds out, and the moment where Leshwi finds out, and the moment where Raboniel finds out, it's 4 hits at the Kaladin is awake moment that we already know is true.
Yeah.
There's no surprise. Like, it's just watching characters find out information the audience already has.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the tension's gone from it, because it's like they can't do anything. Like, none of them provide new insight into where Kaladin is. None of them provide any like forward motion on where Kaladin is. It's just watching a bunch of characters find out information we already have.
Yeah.
And I understand why we need to know that in a way. Like, I get it on like a fundamental level. There's something about the invasion and the way that the invasion is working that we need to understand who knows what. But watching people learn it over and over again feels like things aren't happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's interesting. I wonder if is a more economic way to kind of have this information get passed around.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have felt so much like I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, Leshwi has this information now.
And that wouldn't have made the book so large that you could knock out a football player with it. Like, you know what I mean?
Instead of audiobook, Clarence was actually reading the book, and instead of holding it, the book was on the couch, and so she was sitting over it, reading down, because she was like, I don't want to fucking hold this thing.
Yeah.
Crossroads of Twilight vibes. No, it's not nearly as bad as Crossroads of Twilight, because literally nothing happens in Crossroads of Twilight.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing happens in that book. This, like, things are happening in this book. And there is good action.
I do understand what you mean of the, like, finding out things that we already know that this person now knows. It's not that interesting.
This section was a lot of us watching characters receive information we already have.
Yeah.
And that's what feels like the pacing is off.
Yeah.
Even though the information is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we already have it.
Yeah.
And we watch, like, just have Venli, Raboniel, and Leshwi find out Kaladin's alive at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch Venli do it, and then watch Leshwi do it, and then watch Raboniel do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could have been a meeting where it just is revealed to all of them at the same time.
Could have been an email.
Yeah.
Instead, it was several chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 54, we reacted to this one. Dalinar has a horribly depressing conversation with Gavinor.
Yeah.
It's like, did my dad die bravely? Dalinar's like, yes, he did. He was helping take our home back from evil people. And he's like Mom. Dalinar's
no, your mom was... Do you know what possession is?
Yeah. Can you understand the concept of someone taking over your ability to make decisions? No? Great. Right. You're 5. That's okay.
Yeah. It is. One thing I do think is really interesting about this section, and it's one of those things where if you don't have kids in your life, you might miss it, is how well Brandon Sanderson understands that kids do understand.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Gavinor is able to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Sometimes kids are just written as, like, they're dumb.
Yeah.
They're kids. Yeah.
Or they're just goofballs. But, like, 3-year-olds can say some of the most profound shit.
Yeah.
Because they're everything is not an epitome. When you have an idea for the first time.
An epiphany?
An epiphany.
Yeah.
Everything is an epiphany to a 3-year-old.
Right.
And so they don't know how to hold back an idea. Mm-hmm. They just kind of let it come out as it forms.
Yeah.
And so children sometimes are able to understand really deep concepts because they don't have anything to, like, contrast it with, to, like, slow down their own thinking process.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from this scene with Gavinor. I thought Gavinor was written actually really well.
Yeah.
Here. I thought the idea of him as a 5-year-old having this much deeper understanding of death and evil than a normal 5-year-old should totally worked for me. It didn't feel like he was too smart. Because he didn't really get it. Yeah. Right? He was close to it. He was working it out. And I thought Brandon Sanderson wrote the shit out of this scene.
Yeah, yeah.
It hurt emotionally. It was just really, really well done.
Yeah. The fact that, like, Gavinor gets, like, tired and wants to go to bed, mm-hmm. I feel like is gonna be really bad in some way. And I don't know if it's because, like, physically he was, like, underdeveloped and malnourished when they, like, got him back. Like, that could be part of it. But I'm also like, oh, God, like, does he want to go to bed because there are dreams that he is being shown that he's trying to visit? Or is like when he goes to bed, is there a spren who talks to him? Is there a reason he wants to go to bed that is purely beyond, like, he is just tired? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm just saying it's possible.
I think the conversation was just hard on him. And I think that his response to that conversation being a difficult conversation was, I want to be by myself. I don't know that he even went to sleep. I think he just was like, I want to go be by myself.
Sure.
I also don't...
But it's a regular occurrence.
Sure, but I also was... and maybe I'm just projecting, but I was a kid who was like, I'm going to go to my room. And I'm going to go be alone. Mm-hmm. With a book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was... you know me, like, I'm an introvert. I think that I portray extrovert. But I actually, like, get the energy to be extroverted from my alone time.
Yeah.
And I love to put on a show for people, but I don't actually love social time in the same way. And which is why YouTube's great for me. But I think like he might just be that kind of a kid who's like, I have hit my wall for other people today. I need to go play my Game Boy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also just don't want shit to happen to the kid. I don't really want anything. Like, I think that there are enough characters in this series that you can have stakes without fucking with this child. Yeah. I was kind of happy that Liren was saved as quickly as he was because I didn't want to worry about Oridon.
Oh, fair. That is actually fair.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it makes sense that I have a book club now that I was like, I'm going to go to my room and read.
Yeah. I mean, then the problem is that, like, you didn't actually sleep. Or at least I didn't.
I slept as a kid.
Oh my god. Oh no.
I didn't really start having really bad insomnia problems until I was like 12 or 13.
My parents would have to come into my room and like take away my books.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
To get me to sleep.
I wasn't allowed to have that stuff in my bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If I could have a light in my bedroom, I wouldn't go to sleep.
So I
didn't have a lamp for years because of it.
I had a reading light that
Oh yeah.
That was like metal. And there's one night where I stayed up reading and I had a brilliant idea that no one could see the light if I put a blanket over me. And I was like that for hours. And in the middle of the night, I was like, that's a weird smell. And I had melted giant holes in this like fleece blanket. And my brother and I had the same blanket. So I hid mine. And I took his and I was like, yeah, he lost his. I don't know. And I sat on that for like a week before I like broke down. This was grade 4. I remember it vividly because I remember my teacher. I just started crying in the middle of class. And my teacher was like, bro, I was like, I'm a liar. I've been lying. And my mom, like my teacher brings my mom in after class. And my mom is trying not to laugh because I'm like, sobbing. I was like, I melted my blanket because I stayed up late reading. And like, she's just like, okay, well, we'll go deal with that. And she was like, I'm so sorry. But I was like, a mess.
I used to burn through batteries for my Game Boy and with the light on it. Because for those of you who are younger, the original Game Boy, the screen wasn't backlit. And so if you wanted to play the game, you had to like get this little thing that connected to the side of the Game Boy, and it was a light that would shine so that you could play Pokemon. And I would just be up all night burning through. Like I would literally like spend all of my allowance on batteries for years. Yeah. And then finally, they came up with lithium ion and whatever rechargeables. But yeah, there was a time when
Thank God for that.
Almost every dollar I got in like lunch money and allowance. Not that I really ever had lunch money because I lived in Canada, but like I had like chocolate milk money because you could pay to get like drinks at school, but the food was free. But
I think there was maybe like a vending machine in our school, but
no, we had like a counter with a lady, and I would like just not get milk, which was probably I am lactose intolerant. That's probably for the best.
Probably a good thing.
My fellow classmates were probably really grateful that I wasn't getting milk every day.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
But I would save up that money for battery, just straight up for double A's.
Yeah.
Double A's were a currency once upon a time.
Oh my god, I know.
Yeah.
That was a time. God, I miss my Game Boy.
One of the ways that I would this is such an old story. One of the ways that I would get snacks from other kids when I was a kid is I played a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I would trade them Pokemon. In the game. Because I always had my link cable. You had to back in the day, you had to physically connect your Game Boys.
What?
I would bring a link cable and I would like give people like I had multiple saves on multiple games.
Yeah.
And I would literally trade. I'd be like, oh, you don't have an Articuno? I've got like a level 70 Articuno if you want it. And I would trade people.
Yeah.
And they would like give me a bag of Doritos and I would give them an Articuno.
For one bag of Doritos? Wow. You need to step up your trade game.
That was big money back then. What are you talking about?
Like a full-size bag or like an individual size bag?
They didn't have individual size bags back then.
Who's bringing a full-size bag of Doritos?
No, they had the like
school.
No, now they have the like little packet things that you can give your kids, but back in the day they were like this size. Like the lunch bag size.
The lunch bag size is like this.
That didn't exist in the 90s.
What?
That was like an early 2000s thing. I was able to afford my own Doritos by then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyways,
I used to. Oh wait, one last part of the story. This is so dumb. When I was in grade 1 and 2, my best friend Brendan Heal and I, we would only respond.
Full naming.
Oh whatever, Brendan. This story is not bad at all.
Jesus
I'm not about to say we committed crimes, but I was Charmander and he was Squirtle. That's what we called each other.
Yeah.
Like we didn't use our real names.
Oh, I had a friend and we were Kovu and Kiara.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. Yeah.
And I would walk around with my Nintendo Link cable tied through the belt loop.
Yeah.
And so it literally my Link cable was like a clothing accessory for 2 years. I always had it on my belt loop. So it was always like dangling on my, and then I would like tie it in this way so it would hang and you could see it. I thought it was like the coolest thing. I was like, I remember like saving up to buy the Link cable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
never
I wore
had
it
one.
every day.
Or I never got one. Wasn't
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Never could get one.
I had 3 brothers. We had
I mean, I have 2 brothers, so it's only one less.
I only have 2 now.
That's fair. Yeah, you know what? That is true.
My sister's trans. No one died.
Fair.
I just realized I said that I went from 3 to 2 and
we laughed about it.
Yeah.
No, that is a good clarification.
I'm very proud of my sister.
Nobody died. Fair.
I just have to. It's one of those weird things where when I'm talking to her, it's easy to remember, but when I'm talking about the family, especially the past, I will still say like, oh yeah, I have like 2 sisters and 3 brothers. And I'm like, nope, no, you don't. You have 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm really good at remembering for her, but when it's like generalized numbers of larger things, sometimes I will slip.
100%. Anyways, so Dalinar goes to partake in the Windrunner stew, which is a tradition that Dalinar tried to shut down, and the Windrunner's like, fuck off! This is our thing! You can't touch this! And Dalinar was like... You
can retire Kaladin, but you can't touch our fucking stew, Dalinar.
And Dalinar was like, you know what? When good people tell you no, you need to do a moment of self-reflection, and so I let them have their stew.
There's also just... There is an element of... The idea being, it's such a true military concept, I think, is that there is a point at which leadership has to understand that you can't create morale. The men create morale.
Yeah.
Or men and women, right? Non-binary soldiers.
Yeah.
They create the morale.
Yeah.
And you have to spend a little bit of time as a leader listening to them.
Yeah.
Because if you try and do it all yourself, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You are not going to be able to make them happy in the simplest way that they can make each other happy. And the stew, in terms of like letting go of something within the military, the stew is the easiest thing to let go of.
Yeah.
And this was great. Yeah. And also like the way this whole scene plays out where he sits down and has a bowl and he's like, and Bernard comes over and is like, they have been waiting for this forever.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
actually, like you don't know what it means.
I was gonna actually come tell you that you had to do this soon because you have no idea how much this means. But the Windrunners are in this war Dalinar's most valuable resource.
Yep.
Look, and the Edge Dancers are probably a close second, but without the Windrunners, you lose the sky and then you're just fucked.
Yep. Yeah, if you can't defend those flying ships you've got, you're useless.
Not even that. Just if the Heavenly Ones had no one to contend with.
Yeah.
You're
just
just fucked.
Yeah.
And so, this scene is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's great. And then we move on to Renar and his vision that he explains to Dalinar. And there's a couple of very, prophetic type visuals.
I love the, stained glass of it. Because it's
very cool.
Spren is, reflected light.
Yeah.
Spren is reflected light, and so the way that he sees these visions is in glass that reflects light in different colors.
So our house has stained glass in it.
We have a beautiful stained glass window
that we bought. We have one actual stained glass window, and then we have others that are not stained glass, but they're textured in a cool way.
But the stained glass window is gorgeous.
I might share a picture in the Discord because they're so fucking pretty. Yeah. I'm like, can I make all the windows stained glass? No, but it would be very cool. They don't keep heat in as well.
Chris Pilgrim says, like the Thalen hazing ritual, if we don't let them do a ritual that we like, they will definitely do one we certainly do not like.
Right, yes, exactly.
Well, and that's true about all hazing, right? Like, I think that hazing it's one of those really tough things where it is an important part of culture, is the rituals that make you believe that you're a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
But left unchecked, those things always go too far. Oh my God, when we were young Canadians, this story might be a crime. So, sorry.
Great. It's going to be on the internet forever.
When you're a senior male singer in the Young Canadians, at the end of your first year, you get launched.
Yeah.
And what launching is
everyone comes around in a circle around you.
Everyone who's already been launched. You have to be launched to be allowed to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone grabs a handful of the waistband of someone's underwear.
Yeah.
So there's one guy in the middle. Everyone's holding on to his underwear, and they bounce him up and down
while chanting,
"Time to launch, time to launch. Someone's gonna rip their little gaunch." Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it vividly because I was horrified the first time I watched this.
I remember it vividly because I got launched.
Yeah.
So basically, they bounce you until the waistband rips, and they can pull the waistband up over your head.
Yeah, the waistband has to rip off of the underwear.
If you or just the bottom rips or something.
Yeah.
If you pre-rip or pre-cut or anything, and people find out, you get launched a second time.
Yeah.
Was it Sean? No, I think it was Nathan.
Which one?
Got
Tall Nathan or Short Nathan?
Tall Nathan.
Oh yeah.
Got launched in a dance belt, which was awful.
Oh yeah, no, that's expensive.
I know,
like,
no, it
poor
was bad.
Guy.
He was
Jesus
bleeding.
Christ.
It was rough.
Classic straight male friends. Yeah, they were all dancers.
Yeah, and but we shouldn't have done this. 100%. But it also I weirdly was like, I can't wait to be part of it, to finish my first year, and to have done my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be part of it.
And I think that it is important for leadership to not say you can't have any rituals, but it is important to be like, hey, you can't launch people because you could damage their undercarriage.
Yeah, we need safer rituals. The happy birthday one is much safer, right?
Yeah. The only one that was the other one that was really bad because we would do it in very public places was when we find out someone lost their virginity, and we would track them down in public and mob them screaming about how we'd literally we would pre-plan this, and we would all show up to their school or to them at the mall on a date.
Yeah.
We would try to do it when they were in front of girls. And we would show up and we would mob them and jump up and down around them screaming, "Happy lost your virgin day, happy 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 lost your virgin day." Oh, and then we would all run away and disappear as fast as we possibly could.
Yeah.
It was like we did in the middle of Chinook Center.
Calgary is a wild place.
Yeah. It was
to
bad.
grow up.
And there's a little bit of pride in it, but also we did specifically try and do it while people were on a date with the girl they lost their virginity to.
Yeah.
To really embarrass them.
Yeah.
Never happened to me, thankfully. I did not get that one.
Yeah, you're still a virgin, actually.
Yeah, to this day.
Crazy.
Never had sex.
Yeah.
I actually don't have a penis.
Oh.
It's just flat. I'm a Ken doll.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you just wear a prosthetic?
I should try that. I never thought of that. That's crazy.
Oh,
anyway, Rhythm of War?
Anyways, Rhythm of War.
Is that enough about my childhood?
Yeah. So they do have a moment where they're like, any information is good information, even if it's information that Odium wants you to see.
Yeah, which is so fascinating for a character who at the beginning of the series was like, wait, that's a woman? I've been fighting for 5 years. I never knew that was a woman.
Well, Renarin also is like, I'm pretty sure Odium can't see me.
Yeah, Renarin has figured that out.
Yeah, Renarin gets it.
He is the darkness at the edge of his vision.
Yeah, very cool.
Which is the most emo shit ever.
I know.
I'm the darkness at the edge of his vision.
But Gliss is like, so you're gonna ask him? You gonna ask him about my buddies over here? Because there are more corrupted Spren that would potentially like to bond and make new Radiants. So I guess that means there would be a new order of Radiants if Renarin's not the only one.
No, there would be more corrupted of the same orders.
Of the same orders? What do you mean?
Yeah, Renarin is a Truth Watcher. He's just a corrupted Truth Watcher. So,
so they wouldn't have their own...
I mean, they would kind of have their own orders because their powers don't work exactly the same.
Yeah, they're all slightly different.
But they're corrupted versions of the orders that exist, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Oh. would the Everstorm, if you bond the Everstorm, would you be like the corrupted version of a bondsmith? Like a Renarin Truthwatcher, but a bondsmith.
I don't know if if the spren that is the Everstorm is corrupted by Jeanette, because I don't even think we know that it is a spren yet, technically.
Oh, interesting, right.
But
no, you're right, you're right.
Possible.
You're right.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Is Nerdy a Pete Holmes Batman fan? I don't know what you're talking about.
Jeez.
Bleacher Garden. I'm just a Pete Holmes fan in general. I think he's fantastic. If his podcast was a little bit shorter, I would listen to it more. The problem is it's like 2.5 hours each week, and I just don't have the time anymore. Fair. But I used to listen to it all the time. He's great.
So this section of the reading ends with, I have an idea who would be great to bond a corrupted spren. End scene. So we reacted to this. We had a few theories.
Yeah. Navani was one.
Yeah, that was mine.
Who was the other one? We had another good idea. Because we were like, who does Renarin know? Oh, Cord.
Yeah. Cord
would be a good one.
Cord is a possibility, maybe.
Yeah, any character, or Zeth, but Zeth already has a spren. Zeth's already a Radiant, was one I said.
Well, Zeth doesn't have a spren, right? But yeah, he is a Skybreaker, technically. But I don't think the Skybreakers have spren. We haven't seen any of them. So I don't actually know.
Huh.
Right? Like, what is the fucking Skybreaker spren?
They have to have a spren, though.
Do they?
Yeah.
No idea.
Don't they get their spren at the third ideal?
They get a spren? No, because Zeth didn't get a spren.
But then they wouldn't have Shardblade, so they have to get a spren at some point. They can't not have spren. That's not possible. They have to have a spren at some point.
Yeah, no, I guess they would have to.
Oh, Relaine would be perfect.
Relane's also a great idea.
Yeah, except it can't be Relaine, because how would they...
Or the Mink we also brought up, yeah.
Yeah, Zeth has a spren. Yeah. No, he does.
I don't remember what the spren looks like, but that's my bad.
Yeah, I don't remember what they look like, but they do have them. I knew they had them. I was like, fucking convincing me about things I...
Yeah. No, I think Relaine, Navani, and Cord are all good contenders.
Mm-hmm. Those are the only ones I can really think of, though.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's
I don't know who
Adolin.
Renarin knows is the tough part.
Yeah. Who does Renarin know very well? We don't get his POV really almost ever, so.
I think Zeth's spren just doesn't like him and doesn't talk to him much. Yeah, Emily, you're probably right.
I guess, yeah. He's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, so we get to... What's the next chapter? 55?
No, that's where we ended.
No, we ended on a Venli chapter.
We did?
That must have been 55, because 56 is Venli.
Oh, no, right. Sorry, that was the last chapter we reacted to. You're right. So, no, the next chapter is Kaladin feeding Teft. And then Syl
and then he does
is
Mission
depressed.
Impossible.
Yes, he does Mission Impossible. But yeah, Syl is like super depressed. And then Kaladin's like, oh, that's not like you. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Everything's fine. And he's like, no, that's, oh God. Okay, that's not what I meant. But sure.
Yeah.
I can't tell if Syl is actually like upset or if she is like trying to make fun of Kaladin.
No, because she said that if she could feel like Kaladin, she could help him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think she's making fun of him. I think she's actually trying to make herself depressed to figure out what it feels like to be depressed so that she can help Kaladin.
Yeah, I'm
not
sure.
But in doing so, I think that she accidentally just actually made herself depressed. I think when she was first being sad, I think she was trying to force herself to be sad to try and empathize with Kaladin.
Well, she was like, oh, I've been thinking about my old knight and that he died. And wow, yeah, that sucks.
I think that in her attempt to try and figure out what sadness feels like, has unfortunately become depressed.
Yeah.
Either that or just being around Kaladin is depressing, which is how I feel about reading the books. So that is fair.
Like, yeah, shit. That sucks. Anyways, Dabbid shows up because the sibling told Dabbid where Kaladin is. And Kaladin leaves Teft with Dabbid and is like, oh, thank God, if I die, Teft is not just going to, like, rot here.
Yeah.
Which is fair. And Kaladin does the little climb thing to go see the operation of the Oath Gate.
He sees that the span reeds or he figures out the span reeds are working, then he goes and sees one.
Yeah, he's like, there has to be span reeds working to communicate as to when, like, make sure that there's nothing in the sky. And they do see a flash of, like, void light, and that's kind of the only clues that we get.
Can I just ask a question that might be dumb? He's like, okay, we need to steal a span reed.
Yeah.
How does that help them?
Because they need to see how... Because span reeds are not working. And so the fact that they have span reeds that are working means that they're different somehow, and they need to know how they're different because it's probably clues to how the oath gates are also working.
But if the answer is just void light works, Fabrials,
then that's the answer. But then they know. Because right now they have no clue.
But because they could channel... Oh, wait, actually, that would still help them because they can still channel void light.
Who?
The humans.
What?
If they can get us... So, because now...
Since when?
Well, I'm assuming that if Stormlight can be drawn from one gem to another, that you could use the same concept with void light. You would just need a tuning fork.
Oh, maybe.
And so all you would need is... Navani couldn't make Fabrials work with void light, and she wants to know how. Yeah, so there must be a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like, if they steal a span reed, they can't use that span reed.
No, but they can hopefully figure out how it works.
Right, but how are you going to figure out how it works without using it?
You take it apart in the same way that the fucking Lopin's cousin accidentally figured out how aluminum works.
Yeah, but he was using it to do that.
No, he took it apart. It wasn't working. And then it worked not as well. And he was like, I broke it. He was like tinkering with it.
Yeah, but how will you know it's working without using it?
Look, that I don't know.
Here's the problem, right? As soon as you use the span reed to try and figure out if it's working or not, the enemy will know that you're using the span reed, and so they'll just turn the span reed off, and then you won't be able to, or they'll, you know what I mean? Like, you'll kind of give up that you figured it out.
Maybe.
Because that span reed is only going to be, unless they can take the gem off and use a different gem, I don't know. But they don't have, like, their span reed gems. Raboniel has their span reed gems.
Their span reed gems?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The, like, rubies that connect to the synchronous rubies that they plug into
You think Raboniel has every single other side of the span reed? I think she's too important to be able to talk to everybody.
No, Raboniel has Navani's bag of span reeds. That's how she's talking to Dalinar.
Oh, okay.
If Raboniel didn't have the span reeds, then the book doesn't make sense. She has to have got that bag, the satchel with all the span reeds on it that Navani's scribe was carrying around.
Yeah, someone's got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raboniel's scribes or whatever, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kaladin is going to go steal a span reed, and then chapter 56 is Venli. This is when they are taking care of the Radiants, and that they notice that the Windrunners seem to always be the closest to waking up. But that some of them are not even able to take food.
Yeah. That
there's rotspren, and that they need a surgeon. So they're going to bring Lirin there to keep him safe and to take care of the Radiants. Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Timber thinks that they can practice their powers because the inversion of the tower?
Oh, yeah, they overhear the fuse being like, there's too much interference, so we can't hunt people based on Stormlight usage.
Yeah. So if someone uses Stormlight, if she uses Stormlight to practice, but the problem is that the sibling is changed to not work with Stormlight.
Wait a second. How is Venli... how have we not thought of this before? How is Venli conscious?
Well, because she's also got a void spren. But... yeah, I mean...
Okay. No, that makes enough sense.
She should be a little sleepy.
She's a little eepy.
Yeah,
she's a little tired.
She's a little... Yeah.
Half of me feels not good.
Yeah.
How is Timber conscious, though? How is Timber here? Because remember, like, Syl and Kaladin had to fight to bring Syl back. She was really struggling.
Yeah, and all the other radiant
There's no way Venli's fucking third ideal.
No,
she's barely
not.
first. How is Timber not more... Timber is not affected at all by this. Why? Because Timber's in the gem heart?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Carrion says they think it's because they're in the gem heart. But if, like, Timber maybe leaves the gem heart, that maybe... Well, if Timber leaves the gem heart, then the fucking Void Sprint takes over, so...
Oh, that's a good point.
Maybe Venli can never have a Shard Blade.
Right, because the Void Sprint Timber would have to, like, wrestle its way back into her gem heart every time.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't understand. Like,
but yeah, I don't know how
this
she's
is
awake.
where the like rules get a little bit murky to me. Is like, if the idea of the tower protection is that it stops Fabrials from working because it affects the Spren in the gem hearts, then Timber should still be affected in the gem heart.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on why she is awake. That is a good point.
And I don't think it's just for convenience's sake, and I think we will find out what the answer is. But
I didn't think about that.
Also, she's a corrupted Spren. That's a good point, Nimvin. It might be that.
Who's a corrupted Spren?
Timber is. She's corrupted by Ja-Not, right?
She is?
Isn't she? We already knew that, didn't we?
How? I don't remember that.
Living gem heart is different than a dead gemstone? Is it? Why would it be different? Oh, I thought Timber had been corrupted by Ja-Not already. I thought that was a thing.
I don't know why that would be the case.
Huh.
Timber is just a...
Oh, Timber's not corrupted. I thought she was.
Yeah. No.
Interesting. I had already thought that she was.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Venli being the, like... Because there are 3 awake radiants, technically.
Yeah, if she includes herself, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is when we find out, hey, Venli, we found another listener.
Relaine. Yeah.
Crazy.
How close do you think Relaine and Venli were back in the day?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, did they date in high school? Is this going to be an awkward reunion?
I don't know if Venli was ever in mate form, so I think that they're okay. But, yeah. A lot of cliffhangers at the end of this week's reading. Like, Kaladin's gonna go steal a Spanreed. She's about to go meet Relaine. And Renarin is about to tell us who would make a good bond for the other corrupted Spren. So we had, like, 3 back-to-back fucking cliffhangers.
Yeah.
So I get why this was the end of this section. It makes sense.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 back-to-back cliffhangers on, like, the plot maybe moving forward next time.
Yeah.
Eric Wood, what the fuck? Eric Wood in the chat just wrote, have to dip out. Husband just woke up. Off topic. Chloroform dosages are tough to calculate. Have a great weekend, all.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
What?
For legal reasons. Jesus. Anyways.
That's the one thing that would have been good to show in this flashback. Oh my god. If the flashback had established that Venli and Relaine had a relationship in the past, that would have made this feel so... Oh my god. I would have... Yeah. Wait, why isn't Relaine in the flashbacks? That would have made this feel purposeful. Instead of just sort of like, what are... Genuinely reading the flashback chapters, I was like, I know all of this.
Yeah.
Other than the Ashkenawedin or whatever the fuck that Axwin Walden character. All 3 of those chapters, I was like, what are we reading right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This week's reading wasn't my favorite, but there were still good moments in it, especially...
It's well written.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, none of it's poorly written.
Yeah.
At all. I don't want people to think I'm saying the writing's bad. The writing isn't bad. I just was like, the pacing of this was odd.
This was a bit of a lull. Yeah. But I am excited to pick it up again next week. So if you have chapter reactions that you want to commission, they are now closed. Yeah, I was like, I don't know, you can't commission anymore. If you've commissioned already, great. If not, that is what it is.
Oh no, we don't have them yet.
I think Arzu might be sick or they're not here. So we'll wait to hear from Arzu. before announcing what the chapter reactions are. Actually, you guys might know better than we do what we're reacting to this week. But do you want to pull up what next week's reading is?
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, how are you feeling about the book as a whole?
I am very much enjoying the book as a whole. I didn't love this section of reading. Like there's been so much in this book that I've really, really, really loved. Like before this section, it was contending for my top spot with Oathbringer, but Oathbringer also had that lull in Shadesmar. So depending on the rest of the book, like I think either one of these is probably going to be my. Oathbringer is my favorite. This I think has the potential to be my favorite, but we were just in a little bit of a lull.
Next week is chapter 57 to chapter 72.
Great.
So the entire rest of part 3.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, and then we start the following week with the interludes between part 3 and part 4.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think yes. Okay.
Yeah, I even last week I said like this was contending with Words of Radiance for a second for me. Mm-hmm. But like for me, like I thought the opening was really great, and then there was a lull, and then we got really good again, and now there's a lull. And I think that Rhythm of War has some of the more interesting ideas of the Stormlight Archive so far. Mm-hmm. Couched in, and the invasion is a really cool idea that has been handled that last week I thought was great. The actual invasion itself was awesome. Mm-hmm. The follow-up to that, I just right now I'm like, I don't know that I love the pacing of this book right now. Yeah. Even though I do enjoy it. Like, I think it's well written, and I do think the ideas in it are great. Mm-hmm. I just think the focus of it feels like it has flashbacks because the other books had flashbacks. Right now.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? They were introduced much later than they were introduced in the other books.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they have as much purpose.
Yeah.
It felt like Brandon Sanderson was like, oh, fuck, who's the flashback character in this book going to be? I have to have one.
Yeah.
And I think that when we get later in the book, it might not feel that way anymore. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I also think that we're halfway through the book now, right? And I think that there's just too many plots that are in limbo at the same time.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing in the Shadesmar thing in chapter 4.
Yeah, I wish it was just like some plots were moving and some plots weren't, as opposed to all of them moving and all of them not moving at the same time.
Yeah. I think that it is something that, I don't know if it's like Brandon Sanderson's idea of what the structure of the book needs to be, but because these books are so long, I wish that he would spend more, and I think that it's the Sanderlanche problem for people who hate that he does Sanderlanches, is the like, I don't actually need you to wait to do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Different things can be interesting at different times because the books are 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
You don't need to give me 100 pages of every plot line is sort of like doing character stuff. You can kind of have character stuff in this plot line while this plot line has the action, so that they're kind of doing like, they're crossing each other in narrative interest. And it seems to be an intentional thing on his part in these very long books to have all of the plot lines be at the same point in their journey at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't think, as much as I love the Stormlight Archive characters and the world and the combat of it, I don't think that the structure that he chose for this has ever been the strongest to me.
Sure.
And I think that that's why I have not vibed with Way of Kings the way other people do. All the way through. I've been consistently not as hot on this. I think Oathbringer is a fucking amazing book that still suffers from this problem a little bit in the Shadesmar section. I think that this has been the thing that has kept me from the Way of Kings is the greatest fantasy ever written that so many booktubers and book talkers say, is that I feel like he could have played with structure more to have a little bit more variety in action when instead of having everyone do their emotional conversation back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
And some people are going to love that. Some people are going to love how he structured this, and that's why this is going to work out and be the favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's a bad writer. It's a subjective thing that I just don't think I vibe with in the way that other people do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that a lot of people have similar thoughts as to how this book is structured, and through the series have had similar thoughts as we've had. So yeah, I think that's fair.
Seth Butler says all 10 are supposed to have flashbacks. I think so. You are probably right. He felt he had to find one. I just don't. In my opinion, I think that if you set out to write a 10-book series and you go, this is what the structure of all 10 of them are going to be before you've written book 1, then I think that you put yourself in a position where it might be really hard to keep that structure going through. Like, I think that you are almost guaranteed to have something like this in A Rhythm of War, like in a 4th or 5th book or 6th book, where it's like that decision to guarantee that this was going to be part of the structure every time, even if it isn't as necessary to the story anymore, you get kind of hampered by that, right? Mm-hmm. I find this with long school form series where like we still have to be at the school somehow. Onyx Storm, the Fourth Wing book, like the fact that they're still trying to do school stuff in book 3, given what's happened in the world, it just doesn't work because it just, you're like, this, why is this important at all given the events?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's a school series. And it's like, okay, but the series can change as the world changes, as the information changes. The series doesn't have to do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
It's okay to leave the school. One of the smartest things Harry Potter does, and, fuck the author, but one of the smartest things it does is not have them go to Hogwarts in book 7.
Yeah.
Because it would have been, if they felt like, well, it's a school series, we got to go to Hogwarts. And they do, at the end, obviously they do. But, sorry, I'm spoiling Harry Potter, but don't pay for it. Don't give her money. But I'm just using this as a touchstone because everyone knows the plot of it, generally.
Yeah.
If they went back to Hogwarts, that book would be terrible. Because you would be reading like, why are you here? What are you doing?
Yep, 100%.
Right?
Yep.
And so sometimes you do have to adapt the structure of your series to the way in which you've changed the world. Mm-hmm. And to the information you've previously provided. Yeah. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree.
This one is slipping behind Words of Radiance for me. I still think I'd like it more than Way of Kings. But I think Words of Radiance in general was just a little bit stronger. These are, again, all, like, Way of Kings is like a 7.5 to me. Like, Way of Kings is not some, like, terrible book, right?
7.5.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7.5.
Huh, okay.
That's a really high ranking in, like, the majority of the world, right?
Isn't that like a C+?
But this isn't school. This is, like...
Sure, I guess. Yeah, I mean...
I think a 7.5 out of 10 is a great score for a book to get.
Oh, all right.
I think that people who give everything 10, what does that mean at that point, right?
Yeah, I don't give everything 10.
But I also think, I think Words of Radiance is significantly better than Way of Kings, and I think Oathbringer is significantly better than Words of Radiance. So if I started Way of Kings at a 9, how are these books significantly better, in my opinion, right? Where have I left myself to go?
I just think that 10 points is tough. Like if I were to actually grade the books, I think for me Way of Kings starts at between an 8 and an 8.5.
And you like it more than I did.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that I'm a 7.5. I don't know why you're so surprised.
Yeah, I think that when you say 75%, it doesn't sound great. There's 25% of the book that's not good.
That's not what that means. And that's the problem. I'm not saying that it's 75% of the book is good and 25% of the book is bad. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that I give the whole book a 7.5 out of 10 in terms of my enjoyment of it. I give Words of Radiance an 8.5. I think that this book for me is an 8.4 right now, and it's been slipping. I think it actually started, I liked it more than Words of Radiance a little bit, mm-hmm. and it's been slipping below it. It might come back up. I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but...
Yeah.
I think that what is 7.5 out of 5? If you were to, cut that in half, that's
Isn't that just 4?
No, it's 3.3, right? Or no, it's higher than that. It's 3.75 out of 5. I think that's a really high score.
Oh.
I would give, yeah, it's 3.75. Yeah, what's 7.5? 7.5 divided by 2 is 3.75. I think that's a high score, right? And I would give Words of Radiance an 8.25 or a 4.25, and I'd give Oathbringer a 4.75.
All right.
Yeah. And then I don't know where Rhythm of War is going to sit yet. Anything above a 4.5 to me is an S tier book, and I just don't put Words of Radiance up that high.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Butler has an interesting thing here. 5 is mathematically average, but a 5 is a book I wouldn't read. It's not good and a waste of my time. I disagree with that. I think that if a book is this long and it's a 5, it's a waste of my time. I think that if book is I would give Morning Glory Milking Farm a 5.
Yeah, and I don't read it.
But because it was short,
I would be like, just don't
enough.
bother.
It was a 5, but it wasn't a 5 in that I think it is completely a waste of time because it's not long enough to waste my time.
It wasn't offensively bad, but there was nothing about it that is worth reading.
It was fun. I like the moment where she has to pour the enzyme down her shower drain to break down the cum so that the bulk cum doesn't ruin the shower. I thought that was fun. That made me giggle.
Sure.
I like the vampire lady. I wish there was more vampirism in that book. Read Morning Glory Milking Farm if you want to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think 3.75 is me saying the book is terrible. But some people are like 75. That's a terrible score. And I'm like, is it?
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think these books have gotten significantly better as he's written them. Mm-hmm. But now some of the things that he feels stuck in structure-wise might become a little bit of a dead stone in it. Like, do you really need more flashbacks? Am I in book 10 going to want to see what another character thought of Gavilar's death? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
This book was really good. Mm-hmm. But it's because Navani had a close relationship with Gavilar. I don't know how many more characters we can see that night from.
Yeah.
Who do you think the last one is?
The last POV is?
Yeah. Well, the next one, Wind and Truth.
Oh, I was like, book 10. I don't know. It's going to be a character we probably haven't even met yet.
Books 6 through 10 could have a different night because I think there's a time jump, so it could be a different POV game for book 6 through 10. So but I do think book 5's prologue is going to be that night. Who do you think it is?
Before Amaram died, I would have said Amaram, but I don't actually think the Sun's... Yeah.
Murray's could be interesting.
Yeah. I don't really know who else it could be.
Yeah, who's left? Because we've had Eshonai,
Navani,
Yasna, and Zeth.
Yeah.
Dalinar was drunk, so Dalinar would be a waste.
Maybe it's actually Gavilar's POV, because we'll have all the answers.
Oh, that's interesting. Gavilar's POV would be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's really long, and it goes through all the other people's POVs throughout the night.
Yeah.
That could be fun. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of options.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice when we're finally caught up with the Cosmere, where when the next Cosmere book comes out, we can like speculate on things that the audience doesn't have the answer to.
Yeah. I eventually we will all read a book together. But unfortunately our mods are going to have to read the whole thing real fast.
Yeah.
No, we'll give you time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
interesting.
else?
No. It was a good week of reading, just not as just a little bit like as interesting and as good as these individual pieces were. I felt like the pacing of this book is hurting. And that I don't, based on my understanding of how the general public feels about Rhythm of War, I don't think I'm way out of line in saying that. I feel like that seems to be kind of a consensus, and I understand why the consensus about this book is the consensus, is what I'm saying. I understand the people who are like, this is the book where it kind of fell off for me because of pacing. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, oh, I kind of feel it. I think I still like it more than the people who are like, Rhythm of War is trash. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with them. I still think it's very interesting and very well written, and the concepts it's playing with are cool. But the more midline people who are like, I still like Stormlight Archive, but Rhythm of War did kind of take a weird sort of pacing dip. I am starting to understand where that comes from.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels a little all over the place. It's been like 180 pages since Adolin went to jail.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a long time to kind of leave something dangling like that mid-book.
I don't think his POV is in this section.
At all?
You read the list of them, right?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a thing.
Wild.
Yeah. Shall we? We're over 3 hours.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I didn't even know what time it was.
It's fine.
Also, yeah, enjoy Owls in the Emberdark. I don't know when we're covering that. You guys get to choose. So enjoy that next week. I hope all of you are very excited to get it in your inboxes if you pre-got the leather edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's the like not fixed, but the like longer version of the one short story in the secret history book that we weren't allowed to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. What are you doing?
What?
What's next?
That's it.
High low.
We finished the book like 25 minutes ago.
We celebrate each other's high. We commiserate over each other's lows. Clarus is gonna go first. We compliment Sandwich this bitch. Clarus, what's your high of the section?
I kind of spoiled it at the top of book club.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's the Yasna chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, Dalinar's POV technically, but it's about Yasna.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like I was like on the edge of my seat in the reaction to it. It was. I love her. I don't know if we would be friends, but like I appreciate her a lot. And yeah, Wit delivered some banging burns.
Oh, it's definitely the best chapter of the week by far. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your low?
The Esh and I stuff just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Mine is the same.
Putting R'laine in it would have fixed it, I think.
Yeah.
Immediately once someone in chat said R'laine should have been there, because watching R'laine become a spy would have been a really cool part of those chapters. And maybe that still happens. That would save it for me. If the rest of this section is Venli and R'laine coming up with the plot for him to go be a spy, I will be very, very into that. Mm-hmm. And now if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be even more disappointed because it's such a cool idea to meet R'laine before he went dull form and went, I actually love that idea so fucking much right now.
Yeah.
But right now the Ashai stuff just doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm the same.
It's just too repetitive.
I don't get it. Don't know why it's there.
Yeah.
What's your high?
I mean, the Aston chapter is the best part. I'm going to go, though, with the visuals in the Dalinar Renarin conversation.
Fair.
And I liked Renarin being able to, I like that Renarin understands. Because there's the moment where Dalinar is like, oh, don't say that you're a darkness. Like, we need you. You're a positive light in this world.
Yeah.
And Renarin is like, no, Dad, that's not what I'm talking about. I know that I'm the darkness at the edge of his vision. That doesn't mean that I'm bad.
Yeah.
And also that Dalinar is like, oh, I understand you. I had visions too. Like, I loved the moment. We didn't really talk about it before, this part of the scene. But Dalinar is like, son, I get what you're going through because everyone thought I was crazy. And I Renarin knows that his dad was ostracized for the visions he was having.
Yeah.
And I thought that the scene between the two of them, particularly because they find this common ground that Dalinar and Renarin have never had, right?
Yeah.
Dalinar and Adolin have this relationship because they have this common ground, and Renarin and Dalinar just never had anything. And now for the first time as an adult, Renarin has found something with his father. It's a thing that, makes him pariah to society, but it is a connection between the two of them. I really loved that, and I wanted to bring it up at the end of the show here.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. Anyway, if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave me in comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is...
Yasna.
Yeah. Yasna. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at nerdynightly.
I'm at Claris Pilar.
Give us 5 stars. Review us on the podcast feeds, please. We need reviews, apparently. I don't actually care if you
apparently
do, but
that's
apparently...
how it works.
apparently it's good or something. Clarus. Do something nerdy night, everybody else. Clarus, where would you have added sex to this book we already added sex to?
Yeah,
today?
I was gonna say we kind of took care of that one pretty early on in the book. But I definitely think that Yasna and Wit bone down, so they're it worked. That was so hot. When I said harsher, you fucking went in at it, and I just love to see you strip that man down.
I think that later that night, Yasna was wearing her strep angrial and was just railing Wit in the asshole.
Yeah,
and. In a clever moment, his mouth. In a clever moment, he turns over his shoulder, looking back at her, and he's like, harsher. And there's just that tension between the two of them. As she's like, oh, you get it, and she just fucking plows, and he's just yelling harsher over and over and over again, as she's just going to fucking town on his ass.
Yeah, I mean that probably happened. Brandon Sanderson just didn't want to write it.
Yeah, because he's a coward.
Yeah.
I need to stop calling Brandon Sanderson a coward. I genuinely don't believe it.
I know.
I hope you all know that this is a joke.
I think that the audience understands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. That's it. Do something nerdy night.
Bye, guys.
Oh, shit.
It's so far away.
Bye.
Are you doing streaming tomorrow?
Yeah, I will be streaming Claire Obscure tomorrow at 1 p.m. Sorry, I missed a bit. We were buying a house.